How can I, 19 female, talk to him, 20 male, about our sex life? So we've been together for a year and moved in 2 months ago. At the start of our relationship, we had sex around 3 times a week. More than I liked, as I have a lower libido, but I didn't really mind. In the past 2.5 months, his libido has dramatically dropped, and we've only had sex a handful of times. At first I thought it was a problem with me. I was constantly trying to initiate and being rejected, and it hurt a lot. Eventually, I stewed in my negative feelings for long enough to talk to him about it, and although he was resistant at first, he's bad with opening up, he reassured me over and over that it had nothing to do with me and that he was just stressed. I should mention he changed jobs when we moved in, to a much higher pressure position. He's doing wonderfully, but doesn't believe he is. I told him that it wasn't necessarily sex that I missed, although it would be nice, but more that I was missing the intimacy that sex provides. He didn't like my suggestions for alternative ways to provide that, like masturbating besides each other, making out, etc., but agreed to try if I scheduled sex a few days ahead. Of course, this made me think that he may be depressed, as I've been there before and I know lower libido is a symptom. The first time I scheduled sex, and I hate that, really. I took some for the team in the past, but he can't now? It worked. However, it's now been 1 month since we were last intimate, despite my attempts to schedule multiple times. We had another discussion about a week ago, which quickly derailed away from sex when I gently asked him if he might be depressed. He agreed, so I no longer feel like a personal rejection whenever we don't have sex. I understand this has nothing to do with me, so I'm really not sure what to do at this point. I understand he's experiencing difficulty at the moment, and I told him that he should go to talk to someone, but he isn't the only person in this relationship. Am I entitled to him throwing me a bone every now and then? It's my sex life too, and he isn't very open to talking about it. I generally have to pull teeth to get him to productively discuss it, rather than just, I don't want to talk about this, or I'm just stressed with the new job. So how can I get him to talk about this? What can I say to help him? This morning before he left for work, I told him, on either Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, could we have sex? And he was irritated by the question. It's been over a month, and I'm trying to be understanding, but come on. In response, he said, I just wish this was over. And to be honest, I'm not sure if he meant his own lack of sex drive or me badgering him about it. I use that term very lightly. We've only talked about it twice in the 2.5 months that it's been happening. I should mention that the rest of our relationship is fine. He is very loving and affectionate. If it weren't for this one thing, I would have no worries. I'm just going to go to the obvious immediate answer. It sounds like he's getting it somewhere else. He's getting his cake and eating it too. I feel like the affection he's giving you is just, a show, an act. Him just saying, I wish this was over already. He's shown you who he is. You need to believe him. How do you just see that and be like, he must be talking about the depression that he has? You said sex. He's like, I don't want to do sex again. I wish this was over. He's talking about the relationship. Please. I beg you, leave this man. A deleted user says, is he in therapy? The best thing you could do for him is to help him find a therapist who can get him what he needs. Whether that's an ear to listen to or medication to help treat his condition. Beyond that, patience. But if he's unwilling to seek help to improve his condition, patience is very finite. He does owe you an effort, at the least, to work on whatever is causing this strain in your relationship. OP replies, he's the type of guy who was very self-conscious about seeking a therapist. In the past, I gave him the number of my old one, and my boyfriend visited him for 1 session for an unrelated matter. I know he won't schedule another appointment unless I push him, but I don't know how to ask him without being pushy. I love him and deeply hope his well-being improves, but I don't know how to tell him that he needs to work on the strain. And OP comes back with an update and says, although my original post didn't get much attention, it's been about 1.5 years and I thought I'd give an update. We broke up. In my original, I stated that our relationship was otherwise fine, but I see now that I had been deluding myself. My boyfriend never treated me right and used me more like a mother. I did all the cleaning, cooking, and organizing, and yes, I made his doctor's appointments. One of the few times he could bring himself to have sex with me, my period started unexpectedly. Really unexpectedly, as my implant meant that I hadn't bled in 2 years, and he continued to bring up how disgusted by me he was for months afterwards, and used it as a reason that he couldn't have sex with me. So what was the real reason for the abstinence? He was cheating, of course. Found that out after he got stupid drunk at my mother's house, puked everywhere, I cleaned it up, and I tucked him into bed and put his phone on charge, which made the screen light up, and there was a text from her. I got the hell out of Dodge and moved in with one of my best friends and his girlfriend. Now I'm happy to report that after some dark months of dealing with my first, real painful breakup, my life has been moving in an upward trajectory. I found a much better job, my social life isn't confined to the friends of my partner who hate me, and I have a boyfriend of 9 months who never lets me doubt that he loves me. Guys, he can cook and clean, and I don't have to call his doctor or mobile provider. I am so happy. Please, if you feel like you aren't being loved and respected in your relationship, get out of there. I guarantee someone out there will treat you like a human being. Thank you to the few who commented. It made me feel better about a shitty situation at the time. Oh, and my current squeeze never lets me go more than a few days without some lovin', so that got better too. Deleted says, I'm very happy for you. You learned an important lesson earlier in life than a lot of women I know. Congratulations on not wasting more time on an unfulfilling relationship. I think very often that all you need to do to be happier is to lose the dead weight and make space for the good stuff. Keep on keeping on. Joel Lee says, please, if you feel like you aren't being loved and respected in your relationship, get out of there, and I guarantee that someone out there will treat you like a human being. 1,000 times yes. God, I am so glad you got out of that bullshit relationship. Congratulations. Snapped says, so glad you saw the light and found a good partner. Yay! It's lovely when you can face the world as a team. I am so happy for you. And OP replies, you were so right. My ex would shut me out and say he didn't want to talk, but my new partner never shies away from communicating with me. It's so good to have someone who is not only on your side, but the relationship side too. Thank you. And thank you for kicking his ass to the curb instantly, OP. We see too many people on here that just keep him around like a bad smell and are like, actually, we can fix this, we can make it work. And then they just be a doormat and let it keep happening to them over and over again. That shit is really nauseating, but it's really entertaining for me to keep reading, so, I'm not gonna say no. Just glad that you got out of there. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this one down in the comments below. I think it was pretty sweet, personally. I found out my boyfriend was about to propose to me, then he changed his mind. Help. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend John, 29 male, for 5 years. We have a pretty awesome relationship, great communication, fun, easygoing with good chemistry. We've always talked about getting married, and I have, or had, no doubts that we would be getting engaged very soon. Recently, John, myself, John's closest friend, and his girlfriend went on a trip to Vegas for several days. We had a great time, all 4 of us, and on our last night there, John told us that he wanted to go to the Bellagio fountains to see them before we had to leave. Everyone was up for it. We went for a nice dinner beforehand, and then began watching the fountains, and the music came on. It was really romantic, and I was really enjoying myself, and that's when John grabbed my wrist. He turned me towards him, and I saw that he was sweating profusely. Like, his face was bright red, and he looked like he was about to pass out from trembling so hard. The whole time it looked like he was about to say something, but he never did. He just informed all of us that he wasn't feeling well and wanted to go back to the hotel. Our friends looked really puzzled, and were whispering into each other's ears all the way back to the hotel. I kept asking John if he was okay, and he just said that he probably had too much to drink. We've been back for a couple of weeks, and he's been acting really distant and cold. I honestly knew something weird was up that night in Vegas, so I called up John's friend's girlfriend, who I'm fairly close to, and asked her if she knew what was going on with John, since he had been at their place a lot this past week instead of coming home. Eventually, she spilled the beans and told me that he had planned on proposing to me that night at the fountains, but then didn't. That is why the 2 of them had been acting so confused. I kept grilling her, and she also told me that John had told his friend that it didn't feel right. She made me promise not to tell John that I knew because she didn't want anyone to be upset with her. I'm feeling sick to my stomach. We live together, and he's been spending all of his time at his friend's house or at his parents' place since we got back. He barely calls me or responds to my texts anymore. I don't know what happened that night, but I feel like he's about to end things. I want to talk to him, but I don't know how to approach the issue. Do I just say, hey, I heard you were going to pop the question the other night, but changed your mind? What gives? Was he really nervous? I'm freaking out. Edit, he'll be home shortly. I told him over the phone that I needed to talk to him, and his words were, I need to talk to you too. I'll update when I can. Thanks for all the advice, folks. Bethanachol says, a lot of people are brushing this off as proposal jitters, but they're glossing over the fact that he's been distant, literally and emotionally. It doesn't sound like the type of situation where he's just going to plan another proposal. You should ask him what's wrong, because it's pretty clear that something is. If he guesses that you know, don't lie, but you don't necessarily need to confront him about the proposal. What you need to do is find out why he's freaking out in general. My guess is cold feet in terms of being confused, panicked, and unprepared regarding that permanent level of commitment, but you really need to talk to him to find out. OP replies, if he hadn't been acting distant and practically ignoring me, I'd attribute it to feeling nervous in the moment. He's typically very open with me, and will straight up tell me whether something is bothering him or not. This is what confuses me the most. He's coming home soon, so I'll talk to him about it. Bella is my cat's name says, this topic is actually pretty easy to broach without incriminating your friend. Just ask him where he stands on getting married someday. You've been together for a long time, and it's really not unusual for couples to discuss things at this stage in your relationship. Give him a chance to openly and honestly air his feelings about getting married to you before jumping to any conclusions. Let him know that it's safe to talk to you about it, even if he thinks that you aren't going to like what he says. It might be a tough conversation for the both of you, especially if it really is a I'm not sure if I want to get married to you conversation, but it really does just need to happen. Edit to clarify, do not ask him if he was going to propose to you. Ask him generally what his feelings are on getting married at some point in your life, and let the conversation flow naturally. Yeah, I agree with that one. I think directly approaching this one like that is going to cause more drama than it's worth. But at the end of the day, you know your partner more than us, and this is very much out of character behavior, so you take it as you will, OP. OP then comes back with an update and says, hello everyone. I apologize for not updating sooner, but a lot has happened. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who posted comments and to those who tried to reassure me. So John came home last night at around 11:30 as I was watching TV in our bedroom. He came in and looked like absolute shit. His eyes looked tired and baggy, and he smelled like beer. He apologized to me for the way that he had been acting recently, and told me he knew that I knew about the almost proposal, as he had talked to his friend Mike, and he told John that his girlfriend Tara had told me everything. He basically said to me that he had the whole thing planned out. He was going to propose, and Tara and Mike would take pictures. Then we would go back to a romantic, more expensive room in our hotel, which Mike and Tara had to end up staying in that night so as to make sure that I wasn't aware of the fact that John was supposed to propose. They switched keycards while I was walking back. He then told me what I was afraid of. It just didn't feel right. I was looking at you and it just wasn't what I wanted. Ouch. He told me that he had been nervous ever since he bought the ring, but that he thought that it would go away once he actually proposed. In the moment, he said he knew that it was not what he wanted, and thought that it would be better to not ask me to marry him because he knew that it wasn't what he'd want in the long run. So at this point, I'm in hysterics, as I pretty much know that this is the end of the relationship. I tried to be calm and rational about it, but there was one point where I was crying so hard that I literally got down on my knees, put my head in his lap while he sat on the couch, and just kept incoherently saying please in between sobs. Not my proudest moment. But at that moment, this man was my best friend, the future father of my children. I just never, ever in a million years pictured our relationship coming to this point. He ended it with me last night because it didn't feel right. And that's all he could say to me over and over. It just doesn't feel right anymore. I can't see myself with you. At that point, I could barely breathe. Feels like I'm having a panic attack, so I call my mum and she comes to pick me up from our place. My poor mum. She just looked so helpless while I sat there in the car crying so hard that I eventually got a nosebleed. So, I wish I could say that this is the end of the story, but more has happened since last night. This morning, I'm on Facebook, looking through a bunch of old pictures of John and me, sobbing uncontrollably and sending him text after text with reasons why we should be together. And I eventually stumble onto Mike's page through a tagged photo. He updated his status from a few hours ago to something along the lines of, "California was amazing. Wish work would send me for more than 5 days." My stomach started doing flips because John kept telling me that he was spending the days he was practically ignoring me with Mike. But Mike was in California for several days, and we're in Canada, so not very close. I freaked. I called Mike from my house phone, and when he answered, I said, "Hey, it's OP." And all he could say after a few seconds of silence was, "Fuh." Basically, Mike's been covering for John's ass while John is spending time with the girl he's apparently been banging for the past 6 months. I know this girl. John works with her, and she's always been really sweet to me whenever I've seen her at John's work-related events. Mike told me that John had told him that he was falling in love with her. He said this after the incident in Vegas. He's been spending almost all of the past 2 weeks with her. Mike then told me that he had promised not to say a word to anyone, not even Tara, but he felt guilty and was glad that I called him. He apologized and said if I had to tell John that he told me, I could. That's all I know for now. I haven't bothered contacting John yet, and I don't know if Mike told him that I know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I've been throwing up all day. I took one of my mum's Ativans, and I'm feeling a bit calmer right now, but whenever I think about it, which is practically all that consumes my thoughts, I feel disgusted, humiliated, and devastated. It actually feels like my heart is breaking in two, and I have no control. I need to get my stuff from our place. I need to find a new place. We have a dog. Who gets the dog? I love my dog. It all feels so surreal. Edit, update. John called me a bunch of times while I was in an RX-induced / depression coma. I woke up as he was calling me again and kinda just answered the phone without thinking about it. He was crying and apologizing. I guess Mike told him that I knew and saying he was confused. He asked me where I was, and I lied and said that I was with my sister an hour away from here at her place. I asked him if he was with her, and he said yes, but that he would be home tomorrow. So could I please meet him to talk about things at our house? I said sure. I asked my mum to drive me back to our place a little while ago, and I kidnapped my dog. I brought her back, and I'm feeling much, much better. I am also not meeting with him tomorrow. You guys, I didn't think that it would help this much to ask you guys for advice, but I've read each and every one of your comments, and dear God, I feel 1,000 times better than I did a few hours ago. Thank you. Thank you. Like, I feel so different. It's weird. Conceptionary says, I can't believe that he was going to propose to you despite banging someone else. I'm so sorry. F-word, your see you in the Northern Territory says, I know this will sound harsh, but take it from someone who has been in your shoes. Ignore him, block his Facebook, delete all the pictures of you two together, change the style of your house, and go to the gym. Don't give him any more of your attention. Cheaters thrive on emotional games and attention. This will drive him crazy and save your emotions. Even if you have to lie to yourself and say, hey man, screw this guy, I don't give a shit about him. Do it. Go out, pamper yourself, nails, hair, clothes, the works. Seriously, when I was getting out of my last relationship, the advice I got, which I passed on to you, saved me. It'll be hard at first, but just remember, recovering from a cheater is a day-by-day process. If you follow my advice, I can promise you won't regret it. Fries with Shake Booty says, gosh, OP, he was just confused for 6 months that you know about. Honestly, they're all trash. Cheaters are trash, friends that cover for them are trash. I hope OP gives Tara a heads up. R. White Chockmuffin says, "It's not even the cheating that shocks me. He called the woman he was going to propose to crying, begging to talk, while with the affair partner, and constantly called her. The audacity! I'm glad the affair partner knows that she isn't special. He called the one that he actually wanted, and royally screwed things up with, while in her presence. She knows that she's not his first choice. May that thought haunt her every time she's about to drift off to sleep." Just an absolute basket case of a situation, that one. So insane that he would call OP while with the affair partner. What is the thought process there? Are there no self-preservation skills involved? Is there no shame? Is there no self-awareness? It's just so embarrassing to see people do this to themselves. And for what? You're just burning your own life down. I'm so glad he didn't propose to her. Oh my god. What an embarrassment of a man, huh? But anyway, what do you guys think of this one? I'd love to know your take on the story. Was OP somehow the asshole here? Let me know. Let's go to the next story. This one was by Responsible Log 5039, titled, "Girlfriend, female 28, lied and went to an event that I wanted to go to without me, male 30, and I don't know what to do." I'm not going to start this out with the whole, "our relationship is perfect, but" thing that you always see on here. I'll admit that this has been one of the hardest relationships I've been in. I still very much love her. She's beautiful, strong, driven, successful, and independent. And our relationship is perfect, but what she did on the couch, I can never forgive her for. I'm such a wind-up merchant. However, my girlfriend is a dismissive avoidant to the extreme, and it's been causing a lot of issues in our relationship. She's just like me, for real. She's in therapy, but that's mostly focusing on managing her OCD and related eating disorder. Fun fact, all three issues are often comorbid. She has issues expressing her emotions and needs, and struggles with communication, commitment, and compromise as a result. We've been dating a little over a year. Prior to me, her longest relationship was less than 2 months. She usually shuts down and runs from relationships if she feels smothered, if her partner lets her down, or if she feels like she's being criticized. It doesn't take much for this to happen. She does recognize this, and she's trying to work on it, but it's hard on us both. Both of us are big theater nerds. A few months ago, we had a trip to a city about 2 hours from us to visit her grandparents, and I got to meet her best friends from college for the first time. While there, we went to a show with her friends. I honestly had a great time. Her grandparents love me, and I got along really well with her friends. There was another show coming up in a few months that both of us have connections to. It was the first musical she ever saw with her grandparents, and I worked on a production in high school. I asked my girlfriend if we could go. I even offered to bring her grandparents and treat them to a nice night out. They don't get out much anymore. Or we could go with her college friends. I immediately got shut down. She said that she didn't like that show, which she has mentioned before, and she didn't want to see it again. Fine, no big deal. That show was last weekend. We kind of had a fight on Saturday because I was about 15 minutes late to picking her up to hang out at a brewery, and she felt really let down. She's broken up with other people for similar reasons and gave the silent treatment all day. Eventually, I get her to open up, we apologize to each other, and have a decent evening at home. The next morning, she says that she doesn't feel great and wants to go home to rest. I drive her home and asked if she needed me to stay with her to take care of her or anything. Nope. She just wants a quiet day to herself. I tell her to let me know if she needs anything, and then headed home. Oh my god, she sounds exhausting, OP. Why are you putting up with this? I don't hear from her all day. Even when she's relaxing, we're usually trading memes and Snapchats of our cats, but she's not even opening my messages. Earlier that week, she had a migraine so bad that I needed to take her to the emergency room, and her sister just had a baby that's been having some health problems. I started to get really worried that something was wrong by late afternoon, so I decided to check her location on Find My. She is not at home. She's not even in our city. She's just leaving a restaurant and walking to the theater to go see the show that I really wanted to see. I assume she was with her friends again. The restaurant is a favorite of theirs. It's a nicer restaurant where they would have needed a reservation, and the show is a popular show. Everything would have needed to be planned well in advance. I'm not worried about her cheating or anything. Her friends are married to each other, and she wouldn't be going with anyone else except maybe her grandparents. Oh, my sweet summer child. My sweet boy. My delusional little lollipop. I'm just so hurt over everything. I really wouldn't have minded if she had already had plans to go to the show with her friends. I just don't understand why she lied to me about not being willing to go, and why she lied to me to hide that she was going. I think she just didn't want to explain that she wanted to go with her friends and without me. I don't know how to bring this up to her. She's very sensitive to criticism. Even though I'm hurt and not mad at her, she'll probably take it as an attack. She also just doesn't really like me expressing my feelings to her in general and tends to shut down and withdraw. I'm worried that if I bring this up, she'll just break up and leave to avoid the conversation. She's threatened to do that before on much smaller issues. How can I bring this up without scaring her off? How many more excuses are you going to make for this woman, OP? Oh my god. Can you please have some self-respect and just leave her? If you bringing up obvious hypocriticism causes her to break up with you, then how's that a bad thing, my brother? Have some self-respect. Get out of there. She is so exhausting. She is a waste of space. She is a waste of breath. Only she's allowed to be upset about everything. No, we're not going to talk about it. You have to bow down to her every whim. What's going on here? I double dare you to bring it up to her and scare her off and find someone that is worthy of your presence. You have too much patience, I might say. Sometimes you can be too empathetic for others, and it only ends up hurting you. I wish nothing but the best for you and the worst for her, because she is a gigantic pile of shit for what she's done to you. Partial Necessity says, imagine living the rest of your life where your feelings and your thoughts about situations are met with hostility. This is where you're headed in this relationship. It screams narcissism, and trust me, you'll regret it if you continue. This isn't something that you can fix. If she's already being dishonest, it's probably time to let her work on herself by herself. Necessary Tap replies, if you can't talk to her about this, the relationship is already over because it will never last. There is a reason that she cycles through relationships, and you just became the next casualty. And Morbid Longing says, dude, come on. You have to bring it up. If she breaks up with you, you know that it's not a you problem, it's a her problem. Regardless of her issues, she shouldn't be treating you like this, and I think you know this. You can't fix her with your understanding and patience, or by being a doormat. She knows that you wanted to see this, turned you down, and perhaps this isn't a charitable assumption, but I think she went without you as punishment. That's not cool. Find your spine and be okay with standing up for yourself. And what do you know, OP comes piling back in with an update and says, I spent a lot of time thinking about what to do. I made my post on Monday, we had a date planned for Wednesday, and I decided that I would bring it up then. On Tuesday, she was having a bad day at work, but she didn't really let me know. She texted me about an email that her asshole boss sent her, and I thought my response was appropriately supportive and validating. Basically telling the guy off and letting her know that she's right to be frustrated. I get it, Kurt. Is that all you took from that? Back from her? My god, sorry for being supportive, babe. I probably should have thought a bit more, but I was dealing with my own work issues and a migraine, so I lazily just doubled down on my first response. Boss. Again, reiterating that she has every right to be angry. She didn't respond. I didn't double text, but I did reach out via Snapchat and Instagram messages to see if she'd respond there. She didn't open any of my messages. Because I'm always trying to make excuses for her, I assumed she's busy and will respond when she has time. Oh my god, I'm begging, I beg. Get out of there. If you couldn't tell from the first post, my girlfriend really struggles with communication. Is that what you call it? Okay. Finally, 4 hours later, she responds with how she doesn't feel emotionally supported and she needs some space to think about the future of our relationship. I was super confused and asked what was wrong. I got the response, I just had a really crappy day and you didn't even bother to call me. I'm gonna scream, I'm being manipulated by this woman now. I kind of snapped at that a little. I asked why she didn't respond to any of my messages, or why didn't she say, hey, I had a really bad day at work and need to hear your voice, or something like that. I pointed out that she never asks me for emotional support, she just acts out until I figure out what she needs or until she gets frustrated and gives me the silent treatment. I text back, I didn't respond because it wouldn't have mattered. I cannot always be the one putting in the work. Ooh, damn! You tell him. I explained for what felt like the 1000th time that I can't read her mind. She needs to communicate her needs. She's intentionally avoiding work by refusing to open up and asking for help. I understand that's hard for her, but I can't make up for that on my end. OP, look up the term learned helplessness. I think it'll help a lot in this case. I pointed out that I didn't realize she was having an awful day. I just thought that she was dealing with regular work bullshit. She never tried to clarify how she was feeling or what she needed. She texts back, I've been saying I need more effort from you for months and nothing has changed. This is the exact argument that I didn't want to have, and you pushed it. I responded that I desperately want to support her, but she isn't giving me anything to work with. I gave her the space she asked for and told her that I love her. The next morning, she asks if she can come over after work to talk. After I confirm, she goes back to giving me the silent treatment. I soon found myself blocked on Snapchat and Instagram. Weirdly enough, it was this that finally made it click for me about how bad I'd been treated. I was so starved for emotional and non-sexual physical intimacy, she doesn't even like holding hands, let alone cuddling, and was an anxious mess from constantly walking on eggshells. But I'm stubborn. I loved her. I really wanted things to work and was still wanting to talk things out. She's pulled a similar stunt before, and we ended up staying together. She finally comes over. We start out going over our communication issues. Her big thing is that she feels that with a compatible partner, everything should come naturally, including knowing when your partner needs something without asking. She can get overwhelmed and just shuts down, and asking for help is also very overwhelming for her. Goes against her need to feel independent and self-sufficient, and feeds her fear of getting into a toxic codependent relationship just like her parents. So she feels that this is an appropriate expectation to have. I feel like she's delusional. I explain that she's asking me to read her mind, that she's putting all of the emotional labor on me, and that isn't a realistic or fair expectation to have. She started to change the subject, which is a go-to of hers when she's uncomfortable with a conversation. We jumped around to various issues in our relationship. She randomly says that she doesn't feel like she really knows me. I ask her what she means by that, and she says that she never knows what I'm thinking or feeling, and I'm too closed off. Literally projection. Literally projection. All false, and this definitely feels like projection on her part. It also hit on a deep insecurity that she didn't actually care enough about me to try to get to know me. She barely engaged in my interests and hobbies, rarely asked me questions about myself, and if she did, they were usually negative questions. On the other hand, I made all the effort to know about the things that she cared for. She then brought up that we've been dating for a year, but have no plans to move in together. Again, this hit on a major insecurity of mine. I've been trying to bring this up for months. I straight up asked her when she was having issues at her place and she was thinking about moving. This was late July, around our 1-year anniversary. On the other hand, she gave me different answers every time I asked her what she wanted for our future, if she didn't try to change the subject instead. She's never brought up our future on her own. I always was the one to bring it up. I made it clear that the only reason we don't have future plans is because she doesn't seem to want to make them. I also said there's nothing wrong with that, but she needs to let me know if she's not ready for that step. Pointing all of this out made her go quiet. Not silent treatment quiet, but when things get too intense for her, she just starts to shut down and withdraw. It took a few minutes for her to come out of it, and as she did, I explained that I felt that I was the only one really putting effort into our relationship. She asked me what I seriously wanted. I began in a kind of roundabout way, I guess. I explained that 6 years ago, I had to end an engagement to my fiancé after she became an abusive alcoholic, then spent the next few years working 80+ hours a week at a job that I hated while watching my dad slowly die. All things she already knows. What I was going to say next is that after going through all of that, I wanted to get a job that was better for my mental health, and I succeeded, and I wanted to find my person. Instead, I got cut off. She said that maybe I started dating too soon after my dad's passing. Mind you, we started dating about 9 months later. This really threw me off and took me a minute to recover. What a nasty piece of work she is, oh my god. Me when I opened my soul to you and you just stabbed me in the face. Before I could continue, she said that she just doesn't feel like our communication styles are compatible. I asked her if she seriously thinks that she has good communication skills, which she said she feels like she does. I finally brought up the show. I said that I know that she went without me, and I explained how I know and my justification for looking up her location. This visibly shocked her, and she shut down again. More manipulation, so yum. I asked why she lied to me twice. No answer. I asked if she was cheating on me. No, she went with her college friends. She eventually confirmed that this was planned before I even asked to go. As I suspected, she just said that she didn't want to go to avoid what she felt was an uncomfortable conversation. I asked her if she felt like this was okay. Yes, she was worried that if she told the truth, I'd push her to let me go with them. I asked if I've ever tried to pressure her into doing something that she didn't want to do. Yes, I asked to watch movies that she doesn't like over and over again. Again, a sore spot. Oh my god, movies? That's manipulation. You've got a knife to my throat. You're making me watch movies I don't like. I rarely got to pick what we wanted, and she seems to intentionally avoid movies that are important to me. Over Christmas, I asked to watch Home Alone to continue a tradition that I had with my dad. I wanted her to be there with me for support. She refused and found every way to invalidate my feelings. Have I ever pressured her outside of asking to watch a few of my favorite movies? No. I asked if I had done anything to make her feel unsafe opening up to me about any of this. Nope. She's just not the type to open up like that to anyone but her sister. How does she expect to have a serious relationship with someone if she won't open up to them? She feels like the right person will just make it easy for her. Yeah, after she makes them go through hell and back, maybe. Does she feel like she needs to do any work on herself to be a better partner? Of course not, because she doesn't really want to be a partner anymore. She said that our relationship was adding so much stress in her life to the point that it was affecting her job and eating disorder recovery. I'm not sure how true this is. She's been doing really well with both. Where is this stress coming from in our relationship for her? Well, the constant obligations and me constantly asking for more from her. I brought up how much work I've put into this relationship. I chauffeured her around for 2 months while her car was in the shop, visited her in the hospital every day, and then slept on her couch and took care of her for a week while she recovered from surgery. I've paid for the vast majority of dates, given her money when she overdrew her bank account, helped her move on short notice, and how I've always showed up for her when she's asked, and plenty of times when she didn't. I've also tried to model good relationship behavior, and how exhausting and heartbreaking it is to not have that effort reciprocated. Instead, I rarely got to plan dates or pick what movies and shows we watched due to her refusal to compromise. I put in all of this effort trying to open up to her and get her to open up to me. Her response be like, I can't believe that you're keeping track of things like that. You know how toxic that is? The few times that I asked for her emotional support, even on small things like watching Home Alone with me, she refused. She didn't take any interest in my hobbies, even those that we had in common. We had next to no emotional intimacy, and I had to constantly forgive her for blowing up at me for little things, giving me the silent treatment, or lying to me, while I always admitted when I was wrong and showed her that I was putting in the work to grow with our relationship. I've been giving so much without getting anything in return, and I didn't feel like my expectations were unrealistic at all. I was asking for the bare minimum. My needs weren't being met. She again just said that she doesn't think our communication styles are compatible. The pot calling the kettle black needs to shut its damn mouth. I guess this is the hill she wanted to die on to end our relationship. I did let her know that I didn't want to end things, and I was still willing to work on us. I offered to get us into a relationship counselor, but she refused. She was exhausted and couldn't do this anymore. At this point, I was exhausted too, that makes 3 of us OP, and agreed to end things. She never cried or anything during the whole conversation, she just switched between being cold or looking uncomfortable. By the end, I was kind of a mess. Never raised my voice or got angry though. A week or so later, I wasn't doing so great. I made the mistake of getting drunk alone at home, then made the horrible mistake of trying to text her. I asked if she'd thought about us and if she was willing to talk. I got hit with, "Don't contact me. It's not coming across to you, so I'm being explicit. I want nothing from you except to never hear from you or see you again. I'm blocking your number. Contact me again and I'll be getting a restraining order. Go get some help and leave me alone." So that was great. I've been doing great. Between how exhausted everything made me and the fact that this relationship and breakup managed to hit most of my relationship insecurities, I've been kind of a mess. That's putting it lightly, OP. It's just been rough realizing how I hardly ever felt appreciated, valued, respected, or prioritized throughout our relationship, and how I never really felt like she saw me as a partner or us as a team. I realized that I made a lot of excuses for her, given her childhood trauma, and this being her first attempt at a serious relationship. A lot of her points about her not knowing me, or us not having plans for the future, felt really gaslighty, and it's messed with my head a lot. That and the constant nitpicking kind of destroyed my self-esteem. I honestly felt better after breaking things off with my ex-fiancé than I do after this breakup. Oh well, guess I had a lot of work to do on myself. I'm sorry that this probably wasn't a satisfying ending. Oh, don't you worry, I'm plenty satisfied, OP. Far Season says, "This story really highlights the idea that some people cannot bear the thought of being alone or by themselves. Why else would you put up with so much emotional turmoil when you know what you are getting?" Odd Blackberry says, "I have a friend like this. I wouldn't call his relationship abusive, but he's definitely not happy, and there are some mental health issues on his girlfriend's side. I've heard maybe one good thing about her from him, and every time I ask him, why stay? He just gets quiet. We both know he's willing to be miserable for the rest of his life because the idea of being alone terrifies him. I see him maybe once a month at this point because he's working 2 jobs to support her, or as he calls it, woman expenses." I honestly just feel bad for the guy. I've always been comfortable being alone, so the fear of it I've never understood. Today's lesson: humility. Having a spine, having respect for yourself. Is there no shame left in this world? It's okay to be alone, my brother. It's alright. It is possible to enjoy the tranquility of your own silence and peace. You don't need someone else there with you. As exhausting as that story from OP was, I had so much fun with it. Oh my god, what a thrilling escapade through a very dysfunctional couple. Please, OP, you need to come back with the three-peat. Update 3 is you showing up to her house, crying and begging on her doorstep to take you back. I need it. Fill me up with that good drama. But for real, this is that hard lesson that a lot of people need to go through before they get it through their thick skulls. Not to do stupid shit. OP was mentally incapable of doing it the easy way, so he's figuring it out the agonizingly, painfully hard way. Not even the normal hard way, he chose hard mode of the hard way. I hope you don't go back, OP. I really hope you don't go back. Please have some self-respect. But if you choose not to, let us know so I can cover it, because that would be so funny. Anyway, guys, what do you think of this one? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Am I the asshole here for not wanting to confront my mum about bad-mouthing my wife and telling her play stupid games, win stupid prizes? So I grew up in the US, and when I was 18, my mum moved to Italy to head the foreign branch of her company. She had to learn Italian quickly, and I never learned any as I've never been in Italy more than a few weeks at a time. She got married while living there, and her husband speaks a little bit of English, but really not fluently. My mum is currently visiting, and her husband is with her. While she speaks in English to my wife and I, of course she still interacts with her husband and speaks Italian. My wife happens to speak it as well, as she was an au pair for years and lived abroad. Going into this, she thought that it would be funny not to tell my mum so that she could hear their private conversations. I thought that was kinda weird, but I just let it go. Well, my wife has come to me furious a few times, saying that they're insulting the food and saying they are bored. I basically feel like they have the right to not enjoy themselves. They have been polite to our faces. My wife says that I need to confront my mum for disrespecting her in her own house, but I told her that she should have mentioned to my mum that she knew Italian and play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I really feel what they are saying isn't that bad. It isn't like they are personally insulting either of us. In the comments, so why couldn't she have told your wife in English? Or are you just wanting your wife to come clean and tell them that she speaks Italian fluently? Also, why are you letting them disrespect your wife? OP says, because who the F goes into someone's house and tells them they don't like their food? It is within her rights not to like it and to confide in her husband, but saying anything to her host would be beyond rude and entitled. My mum wasn't disrespecting my wife by having a private opinion. Has OP's mother met his wife before the wedding? OP says she's met her before, but this is the first time we've spent any significant amount of time with her husband. If my mum is with us, she speaks English. Info. Did your mother act like this shit in front of you or behind your back? I mean, did they speak ill about you and your wife in front of your face, or was this a private conversation they were having, for example, in their room, that your wife just happened to hear? Also, is your mother always shitty, or was this a special occasion to be shitty because people couldn't understand her? Depends on the answers. If it was a private conversation, then not wrong. If your mother spoke ill to your face just because you can't speak the same language, and now that you know she did, you don't call her out, then you're just like mummy, and I feel sorry for your wife. OP says, one time my mum's husband said he was so bored he wanted to shoot himself while we were all in the living room. That's crazy. Once at dinner, she whispered to him that she can't eat any more of this, and the other time we were getting ready to go out, and he asked if she was okay, and she said no, she felt sick from the food. He laughed and was like, good, so I'm not dramatic then. My mum's a nice enough person and would never want to hurt anyone's feelings, but she's used to living with cooks and housekeepers, and she's hard to please. Your wife should serve dinner and speak fluently in Italian and not say another word. They will get uncomfortable and won't say anything, but I promise they'll wonder if they were overheard. Then let it go. She should stop making their meals. They can cook for themselves if they don't like it. Your wife just needs to respond back to them in Italian. That is the only answer here. Since OP is in such denial on this, agree, I wouldn't blame the wife if she did. Then OP can be even more uncomfortable because it won't be so easy to hide from a confrontation. Ooh, I vote for animated Italian yelling between wife, mum, and husband while OP slowly shrinks into his seat because he doesn't really understand and can't speak the language, but doesn't have the courage to either tell them to cut it out or leave. I think there's a lot to unpack with this one. Like genuinely, eavesdropping, even if it's unintentional, can be a huge breach of privacy there. Though these thoughts were not exactly private, he's saying he's going to shoot himself in the living room. That was crazy. Another thing is that when the language proficiency here is revealed, that's going to alter your relationship with your mother and the partner considerably. You guys have kicked the can so far down the road here that there's going to be a fight. I don't think there is a way that a fight doesn't break out. These two are not going to trust your wife at all after this point. So I say good luck with that one. Upon thinking about it a bit more, I think you have to be the one to break the ice with your mum, because if your wife does it, that's going to be crazy. I don't think that there's a middle ground here either. I don't think that you can placate both parties. I think your mum is just going to be pissed off and probably never come to your house for dinner again, at the minimum. Maybe your perception of your mother and her comments being a nice enough person who would never want to hurt anyone's feelings is skewed and not part of reality. To me, her words and the banter between those two are more direct jabs at you guys. They seem nasty. And there's one thing on my mind here as well. Just how bad is your wife's cooking? And why do you not think it's bad? Who's lying here? Are you lying or are they lying? Because if your wife was making consistently shit meals, I'd probably say the same thing as those two were saying. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just human. And now, onto the update. So I continued to decline to speak to my mother because I felt as though my wife's behavior was dishonest and because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I have 100% complained to my wife in private that I didn't enjoy a meal or an event. Well, it all went to hell last night. My mum left something in the living room, and my wife brought it to her room and heard my mum vomiting. This was pretty soon after dinner. My wife was pissed and waited at the door despite my mum's husband trying to get her to move. When my mum came out, she asked her in a perfect Italian if the food was that bad that she had to throw it up. Oh no! My mum was shocked that she spoke Italian and asked why she never told her. My wife said because you're a witch who talk about people in Italian. At this point, I heard the raised voices and came into the room. My mum felt her deceit was creepy and refused to apologize since she felt deceived. She was doing her absolute best. She had been feeling sick all week and even threw up a few times and hid it, but didn't want to cause drama. My wife accused her of making herself throw up, and my mum called her a trashy witch. I lost it and told my mum to get the hell out. My mum's husband got involved and he doesn't speak enough English to say anything directly to me, but my wife said that he was calling me a piece of shit son, asking if I really didn't notice that my mum looked pale and unwell. Today was supposed to be their last day, but they're off doing their own thing, and I guess we won't say goodbye before she flies home. In the comments, Beneficial Noise 691 says, "Well, at least you're all dickheads. Your wife wanted the trouble. She kept her language skills quiet to catch your mother saying something. Your mother was rude, slagging off someone's hospitality whilst in their house. Not cool. Your wife's husband reacted like a dickhead because he knew his wife was being rude and your wife set her up, but he focused on you. You are either the least dickhead or the most dickheaded. I can't really decide, but just so you understand, you let this happen. Basically, you all suck balls." I wonder if mother-in-law is sick and the food was gross on purpose? Did this guy's wife start all of this on purpose for some big confrontation? In either case, everyone is awful. OP says, "I think she was sick from the texture. I had this issue as well when I first began dating my wife, but I've gotten used to it. My wife would never do that on purpose." Bro, don't say that. That's crazy. So you know that her food sucks. Oh my god. Wow, your wife was a jerk and you stood by her. Didn't you notice that your mother wasn't looking well? You and your wife are rude and disrespectful, hiding the fact that your wife speaks Italian. Would you do this to friends? Other family members? Her family? You and your wife are terrible hosts. OP says, "She was a little pale, but I assumed she was malnourished. Yes, everyone who comes here gets the same treatment." So they speak multiple languages, but can't communicate properly in either of them. What a pity. They're already dead. Stop attacking them. What are you expecting your mother to do? She's flown down to spend some time with her son. You seriously expect her to tell him his wife's cooking sucks to his face? Is that how you behave as a guest? Poor OP's mum. She was making do until the wife decided to burn bridges. The part that made me shook was when he said that he had the same problem with her food when he met her, but that it's better now. Just how bad is it? The mother-in-law was trying to hold it together until they left, but daughter-in-law was creeping around, listening to their conversations and getting offended. It's interesting that with all her creeping around, she managed to ignore the signs of her mother-in-law being unwell. He didn't say it got better, he said he adjusted to it. Dude needs to maybe take cooking classes with his wife so she doesn't make people sick, god damn. Literally, what the hell is the wife cooking that's making people physically ill until they get used to it? That's what I want to know. And I just looked at the comments. Apparently his wife is just that terrible at cooking in general, she knows her food isn't good but is numb to it. Also, according to OP, his wife insisted on cooking for everyone every night so his mum wouldn't think that she was lazy. Lamau? So she knows she's a terrible cook, but she's insulted that people privately comment on it and are made so unwell that they vomit. She sounds like a terrible person. She would have made a better impression if she served McDonald's every night. I officially absolve the mother and the partner of any assholery in this situation. You and your wife are unhinged. You are bad people, OP. And you should feel bad for that. And you should keep sticking by her side so that no one else has to date you too, because what in the goddamn. I was looking for reasons to defend you two, but you both suck so much. You saw your mum getting physically sick and you didn't ask her questions about it? You weren't like, Mom, what's going on? Are you dying? You're a bit malnourished looking. What's the problem? My assumption from there is that you don't like your mum. You still defended your wife after her shitty eavesdropping, saying that, my wife knowing Italian was just a prank, bro. Oh, if you feel deceived, sucks to be you, I guess. Then you just completely dismiss your mum's feelings about her entire experience here and all the shit that you guys put her through. You knew what your wife was doing and you let this confrontation happen. You're a bad person. I don't even think we need to get into why your wife is a bad person and a bad cook here. Just, you guys deserve each other. You let her initiate that confrontation. And you let her get away with everything here and then made excuses for her. Jesus. The only thing I can say about your mum is that it was wrong place, wrong time to be making those comments. They should have been making those in complete privacy, like you did with your wife. But that doesn't justify you and your wife's actions here. You two are the assholes. No thank you for sharing the story. Have a bad day. Our next post is by a deleted user, titled, I can't forgive my husband for saying he wanted to bang my cousin during sex after her wedding. I'm female 34, what I thought as happily married. 2 kids with my husband, male 37. We went to my female cousin's wedding this summer, and my husband drinks socially for weddings and large gatherings. So this is not the norm for him. He drank so much at the wedding, though it's not an excuse. After the wedding, we went back to the hotel and started having sex immediately. When he went inside me, he started saying, your cousin blank is so hot that I'm gonna bang you like I'm sleeping with her. God, what a panty dropper that line is. That is just so attractive. I literally went numb. I could not enjoy the sex, and he literally gave me the best sex of our entire marriage. But I was dead inside. The next day, he didn't remember anything. I mentioned it to him a few days later because we have sex pretty much every single day for the past 7 years being married. I could stomach sleeping with him, and he knew something was wrong because we are very affectionate. I told him that I couldn't look at him the same. He said sorry, blah blah blah. Apparently he wasn't that drunk to remember what he said. I haven't told anyone, but every day I fantasize of straight up leaving him, and when I have sex with him, I completely blank out and pretend that it's not him. It's been a few months and I haven't told him. Other than this, he's my dream husband, and I'm so torn on if I should divorce him. Update: a bit more information to add since I'm repeating myself. He is the only person that I've ever had sex with right out of college. So my attachment is strong. My libido used to be high, and now our sex every night is usually just him straight up fingering me to find the hole and then inserts and is him enjoying himself. He apologized so many times, wants therapy, and gets emotional not understanding why I can't enjoy sex with him. I tried 3 solo therapy sessions, and they just say to forgive because it's not infidelity and can be resolved with communication. For some reason, sex is a trauma for me now, and I can't stop thinking about it no matter how great our day is. Divorce seems freeing, but seems chaotic, and obvious a dramatic choice over this. Yes, my cousin is hot, but so are my 7 other girl cousins. Now family functions with holidays coming up seem terrifying. Also, I'm very, very attractive too. I'm just not 24 anymore. My cousin's age. Again, I haven't shared my current feelings with him in months because I'm embarrassed and don't want to bring it up again. I know it's insecure, and I don't want to look insecure. I'm just mentally and physically unwell. Update part 2. Last night we didn't have sex. So I slept good, but had to think about everyone's comments. Some made me laugh, some challenged me. My husband hugged me and didn't initiate sex for the first time and kissed me and said, I know something's not okay with you, and I'm praying for you, and it hurts to see you in pain. Didn't make me feel better, seriously feel the same inside. Going to talk to him tonight. Also to counseling this week with him and stop having sex until I feel safe and forgive him. I need to heal. I'm hot girl spiraling. Never judge a book by its cover. People see me and think my life is perfect and I'm lucky. I'm numb inside, just wanting to feel loved again. I hope there's hope around the corner. I have been completely destroyed. Sexually, mentally, and now physically. Please give me some grace, and if you want to knock me down, at least make it humorous. I know people have it worse, but pain feels the same at the end of the day. If this breaks us, then I truly pray that there are men out there that actually understand how delicate intimacy is." In the comments, I Collect Batmobiles says, "This is the start of resentment." OP says, "Yes, I know it is, sadly. I'm just trying to get advice on if the resentment heals over time by talking it out through months of therapy with him, or just leaving. Feels like the option clears my mind, but of course that horrible option comes with thousands of new changes that I never want interrupted. I truly love my life with him, just the sex and the memory is painful, or is resentment more painful?" OP on being re-traumatized every time when she's doing something with her husband says, "I'm starting to realize by these responses that is exactly what is happening to me. Also, he will have sex with me sometimes when I'm asleep, then I wake up with him having sex with me." OP, you gotta call the police on that one, huh? Because I'm not the same anymore, desiring it and initiating it. I'll wake up and go along with it and just enjoy what I can. I'm sorry that I'm a broken human right now. This is my first person to have sex with. I've been with only one man right now out of college, and then married for 7. It's truly difficult for my mind just to stop sex. I know it's effed up what I'm doing too by ignoring it. Someone else says, "Wow, I don't know how you could truly ever get over that. The safe space and intimacy between you two is completely gone. I mean, to find someone else attractive is completely normal, but what he said while inside of you and continued to imagine her while giving you the best sex ever during your marriage would make me want to vomit. I would lose all attraction to him, and the only way that I'd ever want to be around him or intimate is if there was a way to build that level of trust again. Maybe counseling can help things. Are there other issues in this marriage? I can't imagine that this egregious slip of the tongue is an isolated incident. You deserve so much better. At the very least, a partner that doesn't announce he's going to pretend that you are someone else while he gets himself off using your body." OP says, "Best comment." Well, that's the problem. This is our first exposed isolated moment, which makes me physically ill because I'm thinking all the time, wait, what does he really think? Is there more that he's hiding? I question everything now. He is very apologetic and wants to have counseling. He's very affectionate and knows something's wrong for a while and tries hard to help me by being more affectionate. However, I can live a happy marriage all day long. It's strictly during sex that I mentally freeze and feel like I'm with a stranger and being violated. I have to think of everything else and just accept the pleasure aspect. It's painful because we used to have such a strong love/friendship through intimacy. I can't stomach explaining to people why we divorced. I feel trapped, but also I don't know how a counselor can help push me through. I've read so much and did 3 solo sessions. I know it all stems from for forgiveness, but I have like a trauma memory almost. I understand it's not normal to find others attractive. I can easily tell him someone else is, but during an intimate moment talking about my cousin, who just got married, that I have to be a part of her life forever, it's gut-wrenching. I don't know how to move forward. I don't want to get a divorce and then this be a struggle with someone else. I also think to myself, are all men like this? This is so much. This is even more than the first story in terms of bullshittery. I'm getting someone that had a very sheltered upbringing from you and had a very limited perspective of the world, you know? If I were your friend and I was going to have a heart-to-heart with you, I'd say, you need to divorce him. He took advantage of you in your sleep and continues to do so and thinks that that's an okay thing. That's straight up sexual assault, and you don't feel as though you can divorce him, and you don't feel as though you can say no. As hard as it is to be divorced and have that social stigma that you feel as though it will entail, that is better than staying in this relationship and continually being used and disrespected after the trust was completely shattered with his initial comments. If he wasn't taking advantage of you in your sleep though, I would say that it sounds like you're going through an incredibly tough time right now, and it feels like your feelings of hurt and betrayal are completely valid in this situation. Your husband's words and actions were completely and deeply disrespectful, and it's understandable why you're traumatized as a result. I think it's important that you prioritize yourself now, Everything needs to be about you and protecting yourself. Don't blame yourself for his actions or feel like you need to just get over it. I think you should continue doing therapy and maybe couples counseling as well, if that is possible with him, just so that you have a safe space to work everything out and figure what will bring you the best outcome with healing, happiness, etc. Ultimately, I think the decision of whether or not you stay in this marriage is yours and yours alone, but I think you deserve to be in a relationship where you feel loved, where you feel safe, and where you feel respected. You need to communicate honestly and openly with your husband about your needs and your boundaries. If that includes abstaining from sex until you are ready, that needs to absolutely be on the top of that list. It's good that he did apologize, it's good that he's open to therapy, but I don't think he understands just how much pain you're in right now and how much pain he continues to inflict on you, and he needs to work with you to genuinely commit to rebuilding the trust that was broken between you two. I think that you were strong, and I think you were deserving of love and respect, but in my personal opinion here, it doesn't sound like he's going to give you that. Work on the marriage if you want to, but the vibes I'm getting from him are toxic and terrible. And now, onto the update. So I spoke with my husband, and it did not go well. I'm completely blindsided. I'm really appreciative of everyone's opinions and perspectives. However, it was more than I can emotionally or mentally handle. He was very remorseful about the first situation. My husband said he wanted to bang my cousin that was so hot after the wedding, as he shared that info inside me, then proceeded to F me like that because he enjoyed it and felt like the best sex of our life, and mine too. Though I was completely traumatized. He is so sorry that it hurts me to this day, but he totally gaslit me and thinks I'm immature and that I need to move on. He says that I've said hurtful stuff and doesn't matter the depth of subject, that all hurts are equal. Then he starts crying about how sorry he is and that it pains him how he hurt me and wants our marriage to be restored. He completely diminished my feelings when I shared more after that and acted like I needed to get over it. It gets worse. 1. He proceeds to tell me what I already know. But it gets worse. That of course it's normal to find other people attractive. He thinks I'm very beautiful, but he actually thinks like this a lot, and though he tries to enjoy making love with me, yes, he sometimes thinks of other women he's banged in college, my friends, my cousins, and occasionally porn girls that he saw online prior to marriage. Oh my god. Oh no. It's giving physical pain. It's giving, I hate reading this. He knows it's wrong and is a man working on his sinful desires. Here are his words. Those are his intrusive thoughts that he needs to battle against to make sure he loves me better and makes me feel desired. Thank you for cutting the knife deeper and extending the list. Whoa, gut-wrenching. I'm shaking typing this. 2. He wants to get help for our marriage and is willing to go to counseling, only if it's done through our church. Again, I only disclosed to some comments. Yes, we're Mormon, and it's very much like forgive and move on. No doubt there is a lot of work in those sessions, but I feel like it's a scapegoat for him. He doesn't think the counseling needs to be centered around this topic, but more of my resentment and unforgiveness issues. He thinks that I'm the problem and had no issues vocalizing that I need a lot of healing. Not from him, well, that I'm basically crazy. He also mentioned maybe my issue stems from not having a good dad in my life. I'm sorry, but I was not thinking about my father while you screwed me pretending that I was my cousin. I want to vomit. I want to run away. I want to cry. What is going on here? Are we being so for real right now? Like, seriously, what is going on? 3. He then states, why is this coming out of nowhere? I proceeded by sharing honesty and Reddit becoming my help to my voice. Whoa, now he is very mad. How could I share such intimate details with strangers? I know it's wrong, but of course now I'm a crazy woman and he's super hurt that I did that and doesn't know how he can forgive me for that. 4. I bring up the sex. I told him that I feel uncomfortable and numb. I think it's highly disturbing that he fingers me to find my hole and then inserts his dick in me while I'm sleeping, and that more than 20 plus times I either accept it and just lay there with my eyes closed, or I'm awake to enjoy the pleasure and he will continue it until he finishes from dodgy position every time and then rolls over and snoozes. He says sorry, I will never do that again since it makes me uncomfortable. He thought it was consensual since it's been happening like that all summer. I said, well, I have been unwell mentally and didn't voice it. He then says he finds it offensive and disturbing that I called it assault and that he is not dominating and I need help for using those words. 5. He thinks we should separate and doesn't want to talk to me. Smiley face. He thinks it's better that we don't talk because he doesn't like fighting and my mean words and accusations. He said he's willing to make it work if I seek help from the church and go to counseling, that I'm the one with serious issues because he already said sorry the one time. 6. I got very angry and called him an effing asshole and was yelling at him and crying. He walked out of the room and said he was not dealing with me. I followed him, and he said that it's best we don't talk unless it's in front of a counselor and told me to get away from him. 7. He said when we didn't have sex last night, he was concerned about how I looked, so he prayed for me. He's concerned that I need help, suggested that I read my Bible, go for a walk, and learn to forgive quickly because the hate in my heart is really unattractive. He also suggested we try for a baby this month because he wants more kids, so to forgive him soon so we don't miss that opportunity. Then proceeds to stonewall me. 8. He is completely offended that I don't think he loves me or cares for me, that he's human and makes mistakes. I need to get over it immediately that I'm destroying our marriage and intimacy. I have many violent thoughts right now. In conclusion, I'm apparently a not-so-hot spiraling girl. I'm very shocked. I didn't think that I could be more hurt. I'm with a completely narcissistic, cruel, and manipulative man. This is not who I married. He is loving, kind, and affectionate and is such an incredible dad. Does the Shroud of Night leave me with his darker side? Does he have a side that I don't know that's revealing itself through this situation? Should I be concerned? I'm so confused that after this whole conversation, I'm now the bad person and he's the saint concerned for me. I'm feeling like I'm just his release to come and his companion for life's normal box checking. But I don't think he truly loves and cares for me, which hurts me worse than his confessions. I will definitely be seeking counseling by myself and with him, but with a third party not from the church. Let's see if this ends in divorce or can be restored. I'm completely broken. Please tell me that there are men who don't think like this. Men, please answer me this. Is he completely insane, or am I truly the wild one? He's insane. He's insane. He is a basket case. Remove him. Get rid of him. If you respond, please do so with kindness, as I'm really unwell right now. Also, please mention if you're married if commenting so I can understand your opinion. The original post is on my page because someone, probably my husband, keeps reporting me. If you can't see the original viral post, which I keep getting messages about it being taken down, I can share screenshots. Just message me. I'm truly embarrassed, but this situation online has helped me so much and revealed so much truth. Updates: yes, I'm getting a lawyer and seeking a psychologist tomorrow. Thanks for all the concern. Edits: I'm usually great at responding, but I'm going to stop now and just reflect. I'm reading every single message, and it's so helpful, challenging, and uncomfortable. I appreciate every one of you, no matter your stance. It brought me to a place that saved myself. I never thought nor wanted to be here, but it's life. I can't not respond because I'm feeling very unwell and mentally can't handle it. I will focus on myself and children while navigating from a licensed psychologist, not church-affiliated, and a lawyer who is also not church-affiliated. Thank you. I hope you understand that I'm now processing the pain of the above conversation and will for time to come. I no longer have the capacity to communicate back with each comment, though it helped so much earlier. I'll continue to read every single comment. By the way, staying in my guest bedroom locked. No worries though, as he's treating me like I do not exist. It's disturbing, but the isolation is necessary. In the comments, divorce, divorce, and divorce. OP says, I know. I just can't think straight right now. I need therapy for my sanity and to be walked through this properly solo. I truly can't think straight for a divorce right now. I'm too fragile. This man will rip the rug under me in this state of mind. Of course, I have hope in it working out and him getting help for his disturbing viewpoints, but I'm too in shock to spend the time dissecting that. I know. In reality, divorce makes the most sense now, but I have children. I have a million things to think about now. He is gaslighting the absolute hell out of you. Jesus Christ. OP says, I know. I'm out of words. I was not expecting this. I'm Mormon. Everything he said is not okay. You don't need the church, you need a divorce. This goes beyond, I was drunk and slipped about liking your cousin. This is toxic. If he is Mormon too, then why is he drinking? It sounds like a double life going on, using the church to keep up his image. If he assaulted you, then that's grounds for excommunication. He has many issues, and the gaslighting is absolutely a tactic to flip all of this on you and make you feel guilty. Screw him and his I'll pray for you bullshit. My husband would never ever act this way with me, and if he did, I would leave him too. The way your husband is talking is scary and dangerous. Also, he could very likely be into porn. His sex drive and fantasizing can be normal, but his hostility towards you and defensiveness screams porn addict to me. OP says, I have no desire to dissect his addiction or reasonings behind anything because he truly feels like he's not in the wrong and anything he did wrong is forgivable and I need to move on. He took me on a roller coaster of crying, pleading, yelling, screaming, laughing at me, and then stonewalling me all in one conversation. But I'm crazy? I'm crazy in the fact that I was stupid to wait this long and not deal with this sooner. Yes, he shouldn't drink, but he does on occasion. A lot of Mormons secretly do, and then regret it. Clearly, it's not a drinking problem, but a sex issue. At this point, I don't care if he watches porn. It's completely wrong. Everything he says is wrong. I care about my well-being. The stress on my body today is painful. Someone else says, quote, he knows it's wrong and is a man working on his sinful desires. This is when I knew that it was a lost cause. It only got worse when he made sure to let her know that she is the problem. That's when I knew they were Mormon. The way he was speaking to her and how she was justifying a lot of it and acting as if it were normal. I feel awful for her being assaulted every night. That is a genuinely insane thing to do, and something that hits close to home, though I'm not talking about me. I called it around then too, and she's so smart to go to a non-Mormon therapist and lawyer. Most couples just end up in the bishop's office and the gaslighting continues. This is the R word, and historically Mormon leaders have not been great at supporting victims in these situations, sometimes even dissuading them from going to the police. Ask me how I know. So glad to be out of this cult. OP's husband is one of those assholes who has learned therapy speak and weaponizes it against his partner to make her seem like the crazy one, and then to suggest therapy through their church. Yuck, yuck, yuck. He's going to make the divorce hell. He's doing everything he can to win the argument at this point. Probably be a decade, if ever, before he has the self-awareness to realize his divorce was his fault. He won't realize it. He's not concerned about her since he's brushing off everything that she says and just thinks that she's unwell and needs prayer and Bible. If I were to sit down with OP right now, I would want to give her some help and encouragement to get her out of the situation, to get that final push. I want to say, OP, after hearing everything about how awful your husband is and how he spoke to you after that and how he's trying to twist this whole situation to make you feel as though you're the problem, please, you need to leave him. He's not showing any genuine remorse at all for what he put you through, and based on your reactions here, he seems to have been gaslighting and diminishing your very much valid feelings, and he doesn't see anything wrong at all with what he did. He's only sorry that you're upset by it. That's all. It is amazing that you have started therapy. It's amazing that you're looking at lawyers. All of that is so good, but please, for your own safety and for your own well-being and for your children, distance yourself from this man. Do not let him manipulate you any further. He is toxic. You deserve so much better than the way that he is treating you. Please go and get any other forms of help that you can, and please get out of there. If anything, I am praying for the best for you, OP. Use that as a guideline if you guys want for any of your friends that are going through tough times like this, that are going through a similar situation. I'm genuinely disgusted by him entirely. He is not a good person. Future mother-in-law called me stupid, and now I'm considering calling off the wedding. How do I approach this situation? I, 23 female, am engaged to John, 24 male. We've been together for 5 years. We want to get married in July 2025. I always thought that his family liked me because we get along well. He has 2 older brothers, 26 male and 29 male, who are both married. Honestly, I was very excited to have them all as my in-laws. They were always kind to me. Some important information. About a year ago, when I was scrolling on Instagram, I saw a profile that was kinda cringy, but in a cute way. It was an older woman's profile who shared inspirational quotes. I remember one particular post, and it was something along the lines of, "Only stupid people pretend to know everything. Don't pretend, just ask." Honestly, this quote changed me in a lot of ways. Before that, I was always worried that I might embarrass myself if I don't know something, and after reading that quote, I realized that if I always pretended that I know everything, then I'll miss out on actually getting to learn about things. So I decided to change my habits and start admitting that sometimes I genuinely don't know. Someone's talking about the war in Kosovo? Okay, sure, but first let me ask some questions so I can really understand what we're talking about. And I ask a lot of questions sometimes. I sometimes even open the Notes app and write in some questions that I later want to find answers to. These are my latest. 1. How does the time work in a black hole? 2. Why do some snails have shells and others don't? 3. What food is okay for ducks? 4. How do light bulbs work? The old ones with gas inside of them. And 5. Does everyone see colors the same? And how can we know that? Sorry for the long introduction, but it was kind of necessary for understanding what kind of person I am. I know that sometimes I might come across as annoying. Now on to the problem. His parents hosted a small barbecue last weekend, only for family. So it was the mum, 54 female, dad, 59 male, brothers, 26 and 29, and their wives, who were both 27. I was the last person who showed up because I had to work late. I entered the house, and when I was walking towards the back of the house into the backyard, I heard John's mum talking about me. To be honest, she wasn't talking, more like mocking me. I heard her say in a high-pitched voice, "How does the sun work? Where should I put the fork? Why does nobody like me? How do I wipe my ass?" I just stood there. I had this sinking feeling. I couldn't move, so I just stood there. And I heard them all laughing. One of the wives said, "I actually don't mind her always asking questions. I think it's cute." And it made me feel hopeful that they would say something like, "Yeah, sure, we're just playing. We love that." But none of them did. Instead, the mum replied, "It's not cute, she's just stupid." And after that, they laughed again. I heard John laughing too. My heart kind of broke in that moment because he didn't even say one positive thing. He didn't defend me. He just laughed. I quietly turned around and left the house. I texted John that I got sick and have to stay home. Now I'm wondering how I should approach this situation. We live together, and I've been sleeping in the guest bedroom for now, and I use the excuse that I don't want him to get sick from being around me. I can't ignore him forever, and I can't pretend to be sick anymore because it's been too long. I'm not sure how I proceed. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. I'm considering talking to them about this, but I'm also worried that they won't be honest with me. I can't marry him if he really thinks that I'm stupid, but I also can't marry into a family who thinks so little of me. But maybe it was a joke, and I shouldn't take it so seriously. I'm so torn apart, and every day I convince myself a bit more that it's okay, and sometimes we should all laugh about ourselves. Now I feel like I'm just going crazy. I would really appreciate some advice. Edit. There are many comments saying that they cannot stand people like me. I agree that sometimes I can be a bit too much with the questions, but with that being said, I still think that I'm within reason. I don't do it around people I've just met. I rarely do it at parties or other gatherings. I usually do it with people who are close to me, who I think wouldn't judge me, or with people who specifically have knowledge about something and are willing to share it. If I'm a part of a conversation, I'm not rude and I'm not interrupting. I usually just ask 1 or 2 questions. If a discussion is about climate change, I'm not asking about monkeys, if you know what I mean. I'm also not a complete dumbass. I don't ask questions which generally would be considered dumb to other people. Those I just write in the notes and check answers later on the internet. I'm capable of reading, so I make good use of it, but after all, I still do ask questions a lot. I don't think that you're overreacting in this situation. I think it was rude of them to have been talking so much shit of you at a party that you were going to be at, especially when you could have walked in there at any time. I don't think you were eavesdropping at all. I don't think you were snooping on a conversation that you had no right to be in the area of. And even then, you'd be justified in, confronting your fiancé about. This is something that I would directly bring up with him and be like, hey, so just before I got to the party, I heard you guys talking shit about me, and I heard you not defending me. So what's going on with that? I want answers now. Why does no one respect me? And why do you not respect me enough to stand up for me? What's your problem? You're going to marry this guy. It's more than okay to be completely upfront about this with him. This is genuinely a hill to die on. I would die on this hill if I were in your shoes, OP. Confused at 63 says, they were laughing at you behind your back. If he says anything along the lines of, that's just how they are, get over it, it's not a big deal, you're too sensitive, anything that excuses their behavior, then he's really just asking you to accept it. He's asking you to give your permission for it to continue, and your silence is your permission for it to continue. If they can't say it to your face, then that tells you a world of information about what kind of people they are. If you want to see how things really are, confront them about it and see what happens. Their reactions will tell you everything you need to know about all of them and will be helpful in making such a big decision. It'll show you how they deal with conflict, which will be a good indication of what you'll be getting yourself into should you marry this guy. They will be a part of your life for as long as they are alive. You need to know if you can tolerate being a part of this family. Anonymummy says, OP, if he says they were just kidding, respond with, well, I'm not spending the rest of my life being the butt of the joke, and give him the ring back. This isn't going to get better if he does anything other than immediately apologize for everything, including not defending you. And Beck 2010 says, tell John what you heard. Tell him all of the things you heard. His reaction hurt you the most. Tell him that you cannot believe how cruel his mother was, and his laughter and failure to stand up for you was like a knife in the heart. Then ask him, why should I marry you? Someone who's comfortable laughing at me when they think I can't hear them. I ask questions to better understand something. The smartest person in the room is the person who knows they don't know everything and is not afraid to ask. When I heard everyone, all I could hear was ignorance, unkindness, a lack of grace, and no love whatsoever. How very graceful of you and your family to mock someone. Frankly, I'd call off the wedding. And OP comes back with an update and says, first of all, I wanted to say thank you to the people who reached out to answer my questions about black holes, snails, ducks, light bulbs, and other stuff. I would love to have you as my friends. For the other people who said that I should just shut up, I don't really care if you find me annoying or hard to be around. I'm okay with that. I don't exist to please everyone. I'm just here for a good time, have my own interests, and learn. I didn't expect my post to gain so much attention, but I'm so grateful for the advice. Most of you told me to break up with him, and at the very least, confront him. So that's what I decided to do. You gave me the push and confidence to do it. But before I did that, I texted the wife of John's brother, the one who said that she liked me asking questions, and I asked if we can meet up for coffee, and she said sure. We met, and I didn't see the point in pretending to her that I didn't hear their conversation, so after some small talk, I just said, I heard you all talking about me during the barbecue. She immediately got sad and said that she feels embarrassed. She explained that it wasn't a joke. wasn't out of context, that it was just mean and hurtful. She said she's sorry for not defending me more, but I said that it's okay and that I understand. I told her that I don't blame her for anything and just wanted to make sure that I understand the situation and see it for what it really is. And it really was laughing about me behind my back, just bullying. At this point, I just had to confront John. In my last post, so many comments were saying that he'll probably try gaslighting me. And you were right. We were having dinner together for the first time since the barbecue happened, because before, I tried my best to avoid him. Yes, I know, not very mature of me, but other than you guys, I don't really have a strong support system. My family and best friends are hundreds of kilometers away. I only have 2 good friends here. I was so stressed that I thought I was going to pass out. My legs were shaking, and I was terrified because I knew deep down that this is the moment when my 5-year relationship goes down the drain. I looked him in the eyes and asked, "How does the sun work?" He looked confused, so I followed with, "Where should I put my fork? Why does no one like me?" At this point, the realization hit him, and he started nervously laughing. I said I was there, and I heard them. After the initial shock passed, he got mad. He said it's rude to eavesdrop. I said it's rude to bully people. He tried telling me that it was just a joke, that I shouldn't be so uptight, that it really was funny. I said that I didn't find it funny and went to the guest room to calm down. He started panicking. He was asking me to please talk to him. He was much more apologetic and said that he'll be 100% honest with me. I asked if his mother had made similar comments before the barbecue. He said yes. I asked him if he ever defended me. He said he tries to, but I don't know if I believe him. He told me he loves me and respects me, but I don't know if I believe that either. I said that I love him too, but I need a break. He's all I've ever known. He was my first and only partner. I have no outside perspective of this. I have no experience. I need a moment to think. I'll be going to my friend's house for a while to think everything through. The apartment has his name on the lease anyway. After I gathered some of my things and left, he kept texting me non-stop. He tried calling, but I didn't respond. I was very hurt because he tried to belittle my feelings, and only later, when he realized that I might break up with him, started apologizing. The next day, I decided to give him another chance to explain himself, and I came back to the apartment. He seemed very sad and tired. He said that he told his mother that I overheard them. I said I don't care. It's his time to step up and show me that he cares. I'm not interested in an apology from his mother. I'm already done with her. I can't put up with this behavior and mocking me like we're in primary school. I saw a comment saying that probably her ego is hurting. I think that's true. She never got the chance or never had the desire to have an education. She's a very good homemaker, but outside of that, she doesn't have many interests of her own. If I'm asking her about making tomato soup, she'll be talking for 30 minutes, lecturing me about adding enough sugar, but not too much. She will lecture anyone who is willing to listen. But anytime someone is talking about something she's not familiar with, she gets defensive and tries to imply that nobody cares about that, and if it's not relevant to her, then it shouldn't be discussed. Once again, he tried telling me that I should relax because it was only a joke, and at this point, I had enough. I took off my ring and told him that his behavior is a joke, and I can't be the punchline. I told him that I wish him and his family the best, and to look in the mirror to check if they really are as superior as they think they are. I said I'm going to be back with my friends soon to pick up the rest of my stuff, and to not contact me again unless it's about moving my things out. And that's it. I'm done. Thank you all for the advice. Without you, I wouldn't have had the confidence to leave this man. I know I deserve better. I can't be with someone who can't stand up for me, and I wouldn't be able to feel comfortable around his family, so I'm done with the relationship. I hope they'll treat his next girlfriend better. Thank you again, Reddit, for advice. A deleted comment says, quote, "He said it's rude to eavesdrop." Lamau, the audacity of this man. You are so rude for listening to the shit we were talking about you in the house you were in. The irony of him and his garbage family calling you stupid when he tried to pull this insane nonsense is priceless. Your instincts are completely right, and you clearly are a smart girl with a good head on your shoulders. I'm also a person who loves learning about the world, and I promise you can find plenty of people who will cherish and admire your curiosity. Your fiancé absolutely failed the one job he's supposed to do: defend and protect your wife. I'm glad you can see this. Wise Investigator says, I tried to defend you is the weakest excuse. Defending your spouse is an act, not a result. All you have to do is do it. Do or do not, there is no try. And another comment from OP, my ex texts me multiple times a day. After I get all of my things back, I will block him immediately. But the pattern of behavior is almost the same every day. In the morning, I receive a very long message that he is so sorry, and when I don't reply, it slowly starts to anger him, so in the evening, it's much more passive-aggressive, and basically the last message of the day is usually something like, you can't take a joke, you should grow some balls, you're lost, bitch. And then the next morning, the cycle starts again, and he's sorry about the message he sent before, and that he didn't mean to. Pretty exhausting, to be honest. But it doesn't hurt me as much as I thought it would. Even though I'm still not over him, and I still love him, his behavior continues to show me that I made the right decision. Yeah, you made the right decision, OP, I agree with that. He is unhinged. He was not someone that was ever going to support you as well, because look at his response to being broken up with, when it was the consequences of his actions. No self-awareness, no change of behavior, just blaming you and saying that you should grow some balls. Very interesting fella, that one. There's another update. So it's been some time since I posted the last time, so I thought that I'm going to give you guys a small update, because some people still keep messaging me, and I appreciate all the kind words. So, I've got my own apartment now. I lived with my friend for a while and she was an amazing support for me after the breakup, but now I have my own place closer to my university and work. Turns out my ex-fiancé didn't tell his family that we broke up. I blocked them all except for the ex and sister-in-law, because we needed to keep in touch in order to get my stuff from the apartment that we shared. And a week after the breakup, she texted me and asked when I'll come to the parents' house because everyone wants to apologize. I called her and said that we are no longer together and I don't really want their apology. She seemed shocked because my ex was telling them that we're fine, she just needs some time. Ex-sister-in-law told me that the family is still fighting over this whole ordeal and that the brothers are giving my ex a hard time about the situation. I told her nicely that I don't really want any updates. I like her, but I cannot put my energy towards following their every move. She told me she understands. I don't know what happened after that with them. I'm happy. I went on a date with a cute guy that I met in a cafe, but I'm taking everything slow and I don't want to rush any relationship. I'm not ready because just 3 months ago, I was planning a wedding and right now I'm single and focusing on studying and work. When I graduate, I want to adopt a kitten, and that's my only goal in terms of any big commitment right now. I also enrolled in CS50 by Harvard X, and I recommend you all try to learn something new today. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask and I'll try to answer in the comments. Flyganosk says, Hey OP, nice update. First of all, glad that you're doing okay and that you have a place for your own. Keep moving and leave all of this in the past. Just learn from this and end that chapter for good. As for your ex, this shows you the lack of guts he had and even to avoid more problems, that he lied to them. What a piece of shit, but what could you expect from someone with a mother like that, huh? May I ask if you've already gone and picked up your stuff from his place and blocked him for good? I hope so, for you to end that chapter more easily. Well, I wish you the best of luck and hope that your uni will end soon for you to adopt the kitten. I wish you all the best. OP replies, Yeah, after a week and a half, I was done picking up my stuff. I tried not to be petty and take my silverware, for example, and not give him a reason to get mad. I didn't want to come alone, so I only went when my friend had the time to help me. He did get mad when I took my air fryer. He loved it more than anything. I blocked him after I took everything that was mine. I think even though the brothers still think what the family said during the barbecue is funny, they're giving my ex a hard time because he let a good one go, or something like that. They don't think that they were in the wrong, but they're making fun of him for not standing up for me, and they're laughing at the fact that I broke up with him, and he didn't even have the balls to tell them. One of them even said that if someone called his wife stupid, he would defend her even if she had done something dumb. Holiday says, "Seems like you moved on very easily, from love to engaged and then blocked within a few weeks." OP replies, "Yeah, the love faded really fast. I didn't expect it. The attachment to him is still there, but I very quickly stopped feeling love for him when I fully realized that he sees me as stupid and at the very least, not on his level." It's so funny to me that the brothers even pointed out that they would defend their wives in this situation. Oh my god, OP, you really dodged a nuclear missile there. The family may be full of assholes, but at least some of them are self-aware assholes. Interesting that your husband lacked the self-awareness to even see what he was doing was detrimental. And you know what? Thank God he didn't have the brain to defend himself and gaslight you in this situation to be like, actually, you didn't understand the situation right. What was actually happening in front of your eyes? You didn't hear me laughing out of agreement. You heard me laughing out of disagreement, actually. Yeah, that's what happened, really. Thank you for sharing your story with us, OP, and what do you guys think of this one down in the comments below? I'd love to know. Our next post is by user CriticalT7549, and it's titled, "I hired my daughter's ex as an intern. Am I the asshole here?" When my 57 male daughter, 21 female, was in high school, she started dating a guy, 22 male, who at first glance made me a little bit nervous. He had that stereotypical popular jock look, the type you might expect to be a player or not take relationships seriously. As a dad, I naturally wanted to protect my daughter, but I was completely wrong about him. Despite his outward appearance, he turned out to be a genuinely kind and respectful young man. He was polite, always using yes sir and no ma'am, and he had this boyish, goofy charm that everyone found endearing. He treated my daughter well and was always respectful of our family and had a sweet personality. While he wasn't the strongest academically, he worked hard and always gave his best. I even helped him out with his homework a few times because I could see how much effort he was putting into it. I'll admit, I really liked the kid, and so did the rest of the family. My wife, my son, and even my daughter's mother, my ex-wife, really liked him too. He was a good boyfriend to my daughter, and I felt comfortable knowing she was with someone who cared about her. Eventually, they broke up when they were about 15 or 16. It wasn't a messy breakup. From what I understood, it was mutual. My daughter was understandably sad, and we did everything we could to support her through it. But she actually moved on pretty quickly, and we all kind of left it in the past. Fast forward to a few months ago, I got a LinkedIn request from him, and it brought a smile to my face. It was nice to see what he was up to, especially since he struggled a lot in school. It turns out that he's now studying marketing at a really good university in our country. I was genuinely happy for him because it seemed like he found his niche and I could see he was doing well. Then I saw that he was looking for an internship. He needed to complete 500 hours of professional experience to graduate, and I didn't hesitate to reach out. I told him that if he needed company, mine would always have a spot for him. We ended up catching up and he told me about his new girlfriend, so he's moved on. Long story short, he ended up sending me some excellent recommendations from his professors, so I offered him a position in our PR and communications department as a social media intern. He's been an amazing addition to the team. He's come up with great ideas, worked hard, and you can tell he genuinely loves what he's doing. Seeing him all grown up after knowing how much he struggled back in the day has been really heartwarming. But here's the problem. My daughter recently found out about it through TikTok of all places. He appears in some of the company's videos, and she was mad. She called me a terrible father and said that it was inappropriate for me to hire him. Now, it's not like she ever has to see him. She is studying abroad in Belgium, and we live in a Latin American country, so they won't even cross paths. My wife, my son, and my ex-wife have reassured me that I didn't do anything wrong. From my perspective, I hired him purely based on his qualifications and work ethic. He's a temporary intern who plans to continue his studies abroad once he graduates, so this isn't a long-term situation. But my daughter's reaction has made me second-guess myself. I've always prioritized her well-being and want to make sure that I'm not overlooking something. Maybe I'm too detached, because when I was younger, I stayed on good terms with some of my ex's families, and I didn't see it as a big deal. I really care about my daughter, and I don't want her to feel like I'm prioritizing someone else over her. But at the same time, I want to be fair and give credit where it's due, especially when someone is working hard and making something of themselves. I would really like to hear any outside perspectives. I think the reason I side with you on this one is because your daughter blew up at you and then didn't specify why what you did was wrong. Just, oh my god, you hired my ex-boyfriend. How dare you? End of story. That makes me think, the world revolves around me. You need to do exactly what I tell you to do, and I'm not going to give you a reason why. And for sure, you could have asked her what the big deal was, but it doesn't seem as though, given the context of that conversation, that was possible at the time, so I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say not the asshole because it doesn't seem like you actually did anything wrong here. Blue Green says, not the asshole. Your daughter discovered that the world didn't actually revolve around her, and she was shocked. You did nothing wrong. Keep this young man and let him finish out his internship. Ghost says, the world not revolving around her is the understatement of the year. That was a very apt way of stating it. Ocean Breeze says, hearing from him brought a smile to your face, yet for months you didn't even mention it to your daughter? You didn't tell her at all? Clearly, you two don't have a very close relationship. That you hired him without even mentioning it to her is mystifying. That she found out months later through TikTok, ouch, doesn't do your relationship any favors. You should fully realize by now that as a parent, we did not see what some of their teen friends, boyfriends or girlfriends were really like. We just saw the surface stuff. You have no idea why they broke up or what went on in their relationship. What does it matter what your wife, ex-wife, or son think? They didn't date him. Your daughter knows him best. The way you were so glowing about him, while she obviously has a different opinion, yikes, would have made things even worse when you two talked. You truly want a different perspective? You made a huge mistake not telling her when you heard from him and also when deciding to hire him. Your only connection to him is her. Yet her opinion of him didn't matter to you at all. You couldn't even be bothered to tell her about him. Eesh. You totally prioritized him over her. She's not another employee, she's your daughter. Would urge you to tell your daughter. You should have told her that he reached out to you about a job. And the Patriot replies, this, any normal parent, or even any normal businessman would talk to his daughter first and check out the dude's rep again. Now that his daughter was grown, maybe she would have really opened up about his past misgivings. Just because he appears to be charming does not mean that he's not a psycho. You're the asshole. And Dopey comes back with an update and says, I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I really appreciate the advice and different perspectives that helped me think through the situation. A lot of you suggested that I have an honest conversation with my daughter to see if there was something deeper going on, and I took that advice. I ended up calling her to talk things through. I asked her if there was something about the breakup that I didn't know about, or if something had happened that would make her uncomfortable with him working for me. I told her that she can be completely honest with me because I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, and if there was a valid reason, I was open to addressing it. Turns out, the situation was a lot less complicated than I thought. My daughter admitted that there wasn't any lingering issues between her and her ex. In fact, she reiterated what I already knew, that the breakup was mutual and drama-free. What came out during the conversation was something completely different. Apparently, she's been dating a new guy from the United States for about 2 weeks. She said that when she saw her ex in the company's TikTok videos, it made her nervous because she didn't want things to get weird with the new guy if he found out that her dad was still in contact with her ex-boyfriend. She said that Americans are different in that sense. Those were her words. You guys tell me if it's true. Basically, she was worried that her new relationship could be affected if the guy she is seeing thought that there was still some kind of connection between her and her ex through me. But when I pressed her about whether her ex had done anything wrong, or if there was any actual issue that would justify me not hiring him, she admitted there wasn't. Her main concern was her new relationship and how it might look. I get that she's navigating a new relationship, but to expect me to turn down a great intern who's been nothing but hardworking because she's worried about optics with a guy that she's been seeing for 2 weeks seems pretty unreasonable. I don't think it's fair to penalize him or limit his opportunities just because of that. I explained all of this to her as gently as I could, and she admitted that she might have overreacted. I reassured her that this internship was a temporary situation and that she would likely never even have to interact with him, especially with her living abroad. I also apologized for not asking her first about her thoughts on me hiring him. I thought it really didn't matter. From my point of view, I was just hiring a great professional based on qualifications and work ethics, but comments made me see how I could have been the asshole for not telling her. And she told me that it's okay. Because of Blue says, "How is everyone reading this post and then commenting that the new boyfriend is insecure and the problem? He doesn't even know the situation's going on. He is oblivious to everything according to the story. OP's daughter made like 5 assumptions and is somehow the good person in this, and the boyfriend is the insecure one?" A Touch of Trouble says, "It's not like the ex was going over every Sunday for dinner with the parents and attending holiday events. He literally needed an internship, knew someone in that field, and asked if there was an opening to apply for. Unless he keeps mentioning the daughter or starts trying to slide in her DMs, then there's nothing to worry about." The Final Filter says, "I really wish people would understand that just because you break up with someone doesn't mean that people have to drop that person as well. I mean, in certain situations I can see why they would want that, but this was high school relationship that ended mutually." Yeah, people blaming the boyfriend when he had no idea what's going on is some insanely 4D chess kind of thinking to blame the man in this situation, huh? But no, it just turns out that the daughter was overthinking the situation and making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm glad that things got sorted out, but hopefully this is a lesson for her to not overthink things so hard and openly communicate why you're feeling what you're feeling, not just scream at someone and say how dare you and then hang up. Very much childish way to communicate with your father and try to ruin something over a complete non-issue. Thank you for sharing the story with us, OP. And anyway guys, what do you think about this one? Let me know down below. Let's get on to the next story now. This one's posted by user IHeartYou2, titled, "I, 38 female, think my marriage to my husband, 42 male, is over. I need help. My husband and I have been together for 16 years. We have 2 kids. It's mostly been a good relationship with normal ebbs and flows. The past year has been pretty difficult on my end, and I think I've reached my breaking point. I just want to make it clear before I start that my husband is a good man and I do love him. I've been a stay-at-home mum for most of our marriage. It was out of necessity rather than desire on my part. My husband was working at building his business, and we needed the flexibility of me being home. I had a job I loved, but I didn't make much, and it just made sense at the time. I also homeschool our children because it works well for us. I did all the normal stay-at-home mum stuff, dinner, cleaning, laundry, bills, etc. He did help when needed, and was never resentful of it. He worked very long hours and lots of weekends, but I supported him because owning his own business was his dream. About 3 years ago, I started to feel some fatigue from being the primary caregiver of our children. I wanted more, and our business was pretty stable, so we agreed that I'd go back to school. Our children are old enough now that schooling them is less hands-on, so again, it made sense. I graduated with my 2-year degree last year and started nursing school shortly thereafter. This is when things started to get rough. Nursing school is a total time suck. It requires so much time and so much energy. We discussed the shifting of responsibility and how difficult this was going to be on all of us, and he said he was supportive. He started making snide comments about things he was doing at home, things I had always taken care of, things that I guess he just didn't realize I did. I tried to communicate with him, see what could be done to make things easier on him for this transition. He's not a good communicator though, so I didn't push, which was a mistake on my part. The comments started getting more frequent and meaner. We've never been mean to each other before. It's just not how we fight, or rather, hasn't been how we fight. He started getting resentful of the time that I was up at school or volunteering, as I do volunteer quite a bit. Summer came, and I thought things would get better. I got a job where I work a few days a week from 7 to 7. I love my job so much, and it's really nice to finally be able to contribute to our income. It's really empowering. Over the past few months, I've become a lot more independent. Historically, I've needed my husband a lot. I had some really serious depression after our kids and I couldn't do much without him, like go to the doctor or grocery shop or whatever. Over the past 5 years, I've gotten that under control. Through nursing school, I've made a lot of new friends that I like to spend time with. We grab quick dinners and sometimes head to the movies. This apparently bothers my husband, though he's never actually verbalized it. I started coming home for an activity, volunteering, or a night out with friends to rage on his part. He would yell at me, call me names, say horribly hurtful things. He went through and read my text messages, trying to find something I'm doing wrong. My friend group is mixed female and male, and most are younger than I am. When I come home, I never know how he'll react. Last night was pretty bad. He stopped replying to my random "I love you" texts, and this morning didn't bother to say it back. He's hanging up on me, he's ignoring me, he's treating me really badly, he twists my words and ascribes them emotions that I'm just not feeling. I feel like I'm dying inside. Any self-esteem I've gained from following my dreams, he's crushing. While I don't think he's abusive, I feel a lot like I did when I was in an abusive relationship. Walking on eggshells, trying to test the room when I walk in, afraid to do anything that might upset him, being overly nice so that he'll be nice back. To be clear, I'm home most nights. I might go out with friends once a week or twice, but once is during the day, like this week. Sunday, I went to dinner with a friend that was leaving for New York the next day. I was gone for around 2 hours. Monday, I was home. Tuesday, I was working all day, then went up to school for midnight registration. Wednesday is my weekly volunteer day, and whoever is volunteering goes out for food after for about an hour. Today, I'm working a short shift. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, I am home. I'm just done. I'm so tired of feeling badly about myself, like I'm doing something wrong. I've tried to talk about all of this 1,000 times. I never fight back when he's yelling at me or calling me names. I've suggested counseling, as I'm going to therapy myself, but he's not interested. The problem is, I don't want my marriage to be over. I love him, and I promised him forever. I don't break my promises. I just want things to go back to where they were a year ago. I need help. Thanks in advance. It just sounds like he is pissed off that he can't control you anymore, and as though you are not dependent on him. And that is obviously a problem for him. But that's a problem that abusers have when the people they abuse start getting freedom. That's not at all a normal person reacting in a normal way. Like, that's only what abusers do. As tough a pill that is to swallow, and you not wanting to break promises, if you can't break through to him with counseling, therapy, honest and open communication, talking about how his actions and words are affecting you, he doesn't want to change, he doesn't show change, you have to protect yourself and your child. Like you genuinely don't have any options besides doing something about it or rolling over and accepting his treatment of you. It's grim, it's harsh, but that's just the reality of the situation. He's changing in ways that are not healthy. He's revealing a much darker side of himself under that mask that is slipping. Deleted says, "You need to hold your ground on this. This is abuse." He needs to openly discuss and admit that you being independent is bugging him. Now he's just allowing it to build up to the point that divorce will be your only option. He needs to discuss either openly with you or go to counseling. If not, there is no way to recover. OP replies, "Thanks for your reply. He does tell me that my independence bothers him. He feels like I don't need him anymore, or that I'll be okay without him. Which I would, as he would without me. But he won't do anything to resolve these feelings or communicate what I can do to reassure him that I do still need him. It's one of those, I don't need you to save me, I need you to stand by me while I save myself type of things. And he's just not okay with that. Deleted replies to that, that's a problem that he has to find a solution to. Let him know that you won't allow him to constantly put you down. This isn't the 1980s anymore. My girlfriend just started her own business, and I couldn't be more proud of her. We just made her business cards yesterday. Any chance you can show him how much you two can benefit from your extra income? Plan a nice trip away, allow him to relax, and then you come back and you state that all this hard work on both our ends allows for better things in life. And OP comes back with an update and says, while my original post didn't get a ton of feedback, I thought I'd update. About a month after I posted, I asked him for a separation. He agreed, I moved out, and I've got my own place now. I thought maybe moving out would be the wake-up call that was needed to save the marriage, but it wasn't. However, it turned out to be the best thing for all of us. We share custody of our children, and they transitioned to public school and are doing very, very well. I'm doing pretty well too. It's been hard, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, but it's been worth it. We are all so much happier now, and my ex and I are working really well together to co-parent our kids, and we're even friends. We'll always be there for each other, but we're better off apart. Not the happy ending that I was hoping for, but a happy ending nonetheless. Spooge McDuck says, good for you. Happy endings are when people are happy, not necessarily staying together. And OP replies, it took me a while to realize this, but it's exactly right. Mount Wiener says, speaking as a child of divorce, happy single parents are better parents together than miserable married ones. I'm glad that it turned out that the difficult choice was the right one for your family. Best of luck. And OP replies, thank you. Thank you. My kids were one of the biggest considerations in deciding to leave. I want them to be strong and be good advocates for themselves, and I figured the best way to do that was to model it myself. I hope I did what was best for them. It's a big fear of mine. I think you did the right thing there, OP. I think if he is actually better off divorced and dealing with his own shit himself and happy, that's a best case scenario. You really don't want to drag an unhappy, resentful, spiteful partner through a marriage that doesn't need to be there when, you say it's for yourself, but you also say it's for the kids. I don't know, a lot of people in situations like that really need to just accept the reality that their partner just being an overall net negative and making your life worse and making your kids worse is not going to be solved by you sticking out the relationship and you trying to work on it with them if it's obvious they're not going to work with you to be better. That's my 2 cents. It's something I'm going to repeat ad nauseum because we keep seeing examples of it and it's infuriating. But whatever, thank you for sharing your story with us, OP. That really sucked in the first half, and I'm glad that it didn't go downhill even faster after asking for separation. I feel like that is a rare thing to have achieved here. So thank you for the story. And what do you guys think? Have you seen similar situations yourself? Let me know in the comments down below. Am I the asshole here for agreeing to an open relationship and then sleeping with someone else? Hi Reddit. So my girlfriend, 24 female, and I, 23 male, have been going through a very rough time lately, and it all boiled over in the past few days. We've been together for 3 years, and things were going well for the most part. We got along, and we would rarely fight. Even when we did, we would often both cool down and talk it out not long after. However, about 2 weeks ago, my girlfriend approached me and asked if I wanted to open our relationship. I was immediately shocked, and I almost thought that she was joking at first. She said that she really loves me and wants to be with me, but before we get more serious, she wants to get more experience. She was my first everything, and she's been with 2 other guys. I shot down the idea, and I told her that I wasn't comfortable with it. She kept badgering me about it, but eventually relented when she realized that I wasn't budging, and that seemed like the end of it. However, a few days later, she came to me again and asked me more aggressively about it, and was insinuating that we might have to take a break if we can't just try opening up our relationship for a few months. I smell a cheater. Considering it was basically we take a break or I just give her this, I relented and said that we could open up the relationship. 2 days later, last Friday, I got home from work and saw she was dressed up, and I asked what for. She said that she was going out to the bar with her friends and that she wouldn't be back until tomorrow. I immediately recognized what this meant and asked if she would rather spend the night in with me, but she said she really wanted to do this. Eventually she left, and I was left sitting alone watching TV getting drunk. I got sad, so I called one of my close friends, 23 female, and was telling her about the situation. After we talked for a while, I asked her if she wanted to come over and drink because I was feeling like shit being alone. After she got there and we hung out for a bit, drinking and discussing the open relationship and how upset I was, my friend suggested that if my girlfriend was essentially cheating on me, I may as well enjoy the perks of an open relationship too. I'm sure you could see what happened there, and I won't get into details, but it made me feel a lot better. Flash forward to the next morning, and I wake up to my girlfriend freaking out, asking me what the hell my friend and I were doing in our bed. I told her what happened, and she got mad. She told me that she didn't even do anything last night and ended up crashing at her friend's house. She now wants to close our relationship back off and make me prove my loyalty for cheating on her. We never discussed any rules or anything like that, so I really don't see how I did anything wrong. So am I the asshole for participating in the open relationship that my girlfriend suggested? No, screw your girlfriend. She got exactly what she deserved here. It's actually only open for me and not for you. You're a cheating scumbag. I'll be honest, OP, this looks like breakup territory to me. And if she can't be transparent with you about it and she can't respect the open relationship that she threatened you into, then why stick around with someone like this? She's genuinely a waste of oxygen, a waste of the 2 brain cells she has smashing together, and a waste of space. It's just disrespect from her all round, and I wouldn't take that if I was you. I'd just kick her out. But hey, you do you. You keep her around if you want to. That would be really entertaining. Individual Fox-like says, not the asshole. She pressured you into agreeing to something that you didn't want, didn't set any rules, and showed a complete disregard for your feelings. You did nothing wrong. You were open, and you had no rules about telling each other anything because you had no rules at all. In the future, though, don't agree to something you don't want. Breaking up when she wouldn't stop pressuring you was the right move and would have saved you some of the coming mess. Post Sector says, while I consider what OP did to be fair game, I agree that the wiser move would have been to immediately break up when she had dropped the ultimatum. Roer says, I think this was the ultimate move. He basically showed her what it really meant to be in an open relationship, and she didn't like it. But still, he needs to end the relationship now. And Psychotic Hottie says, this relationship isn't equal. Just break it off. She had big expectations of her ability to pull men and wanted to get it out of her system. You didn't even have to try, so she's angry. Not the asshole, but don't pretend that this is salvageable. I don't have an issue with open relationships, but this isn't how they form and work. And OP replies, yeah, I'm accepting the fact that there's no coming back from this. And OP comes back with an update and says, hi Reddit, it's been a while, and a lot has happened since I last posted. A ton of people were inquiring about how the whole situation played out and asking me for an update. It's been an incredibly hectic month for me, but things have started to settle down, and I'm ready to update. So for starters, my girlfriend and I ended up officially breaking up a few days after my initial post. It was not a pretty scene. She kept calling me a cheater and telling me what a piece of shit I was for cheating on her. I took this for a few days while I tried to figure out what to do, but eventually I snapped back at her one day. I should have tried to keep my cool, but I told her that she is genuinely the stupidest person I've ever met in my life for thinking an open relationship would work out, and it's her fault that everything blew up. Oh, preach, my brother. I told her that I played by her rules, and it's not my fault that I found someone to hook up with faster than she could. She told me that she didn't want to cheat on me, she wanted to explore, and that I should have understood. Understand what? What does an open relationship mean to her? What? We went in circles, arguing for a bit, but I eventually told her to get out of my apartment. I pay rent, and my name is on the lease, and I had to threaten to call the cops before she realized I was serious. She, of course, then broke down crying, saying that she had nowhere to go and told me that she loved me and wanted to make things work and blah blah blah. I held firm and told her to leave. After she was out, I immediately felt better and realized that that relationship was terrible for me. The next day, I called up my friend, who I slept with in the original post, and asked if she wanted to come over and drink and game. She said yes, and of course, given what happened last time, we ended up hooking up again. My ex ended up coming by the next day to pick up the rest of her stuff, and boy, let me tell you, she was not happy to see my friend. She didn't start anything, but I could tell by the way she was acting that she was seething. My friend and I ended up talking more and more after that, until I eventually officially asked her out, and she said yes. We've been together for the past month, and to say that this is a healthier and better relationship would be an understatement. I have been friends with her for a long time, and I think we've both always sort of had a thing for each other, but never really acted on it until we were basically handed the perfect opportunity by my ex. We have a lot more in common, and we're a lot better at communicating with each other, and so far this whole relationship has been amazing. Thank you all for the advice on the previous post. I really appreciate it. Bra Eunice says, not the asshole. She was clearly not on the same page about the open relationship and tried to manipulate you with accusations and guilt trips. You held your ground, and it sounds like you ended up in a much better situation. And OP replies, yeah, I'm a lot happier now. Know How to Be Stupid says, I'm confused about what your ex thought being in an open relationship meant. Shelly replies to that, I go out and have my fun while you stay at home and wait for me. Am I the Crazy One says, I didn't even do anything. Translation, the guy I wanted to bone didn't want to bone me. Nah, she definitely screwed the guy she's had her eye on and may have been cheating with already. She just didn't think that OP would do anything and lied after the fact to avoid looking like an even more obvious hypocrite. Yeah, I find it really hard to believe that the girlfriend didn't do anything. Why'd she come back the next morning then if she didn't? Where was she sleeping? Whose house was she at? Are we really going to believe her friends if the friends say, oh yeah, no, she just crashed at my place? Why would you crash at their place if we've just opened a relationship up? Too many questions, not enough answers, and no trust. There is no universe where I believe that she did not do anything. Because yeah, it would have made her look 10 times worse if she had just come back from sleeping with someone she had her eyes on to OP sleeping with someone and being like, oh, I know that I just slept with someone, but this is cheating. What I did was not cheating. Thank God they broke up. That is just too much mess, and I'm here for it. Thank you for sharing your story, OP. But what about you guys? What did you think of this one? Am I being too hard on them? Let me know in the comments. Now let's go to another story. This one was posted by user Angry Frustrated Wife, titled, Am I the asshole for calling my husband's mistress fat and old? I use fake names in this one. So I, 44 female, have been so emotional for several weeks. I can't trust my own judgment. Starting around Christmas 2023, I noticed a change in my husband Justin, 44 male. He's usually an affectionate and sexual person, but our sex life went downhill. The summer of 2023 was when our son Randell, 19 male, moved out to university. With Justin and I alone in the house, we were having sex almost every day before the dip. Other suspicious things started happening. He's going out without me more, women's perfume on his changes, being more secretive with his devices, etc. Early September, I managed to get in his laptop while he was asleep. I was expecting to find evidence of an affair, and I had a picture in my head of what the woman would look like. I found a mountain of evidence. There were nude selfies of her, videos of her masturbating, messages exchanged, etc. She didn't look like what I was expecting. She looked at least 50 and at least 200 pounds. My husband is very fit and so am I. He's Hollywood handsome, so I was expecting like some thin 27-year-old woman. I sent as much evidence to my email and socials as I can. I showed my sister Betty, 47 female, the evidence. I was so emotional that I was insensitive with my words, especially since my sister had a weight problem. I called my husband's mistress a fat old slug. Betty said that I shouldn't be talking about another woman like that. I was so enraged, and I asked Betty how she could defend this woman who's been screwing my husband. Betty said that it's no excuse to body shame. I just started crying and Betty hugged me. Obviously, my judgment is compromised and I have a bias against my husband's mistress. I hate her so much. But did I go too far with my words? Am I the asshole? Edit. To clear up some things, by the messages, the mistress does know. Justin and her talk about me a lot. She sends happy emojis when Justin talks about how much sexier she is. Justin has messaged her that I'm too thin and muscular. Yes, I am leaving him. I already have a divorce attorney. Even with everything I originally shared, Justin has messaged the mistress that he never loved me. He messaged that he loves her. Second edit. I used to be overweight until around age 21. I would have gained a lot of weight if Justin had asked me to. Me and the mistress look so much alike apart from the weight. And she's older than me. And third edit. The results are mixed, but I do think that I am the asshole. I'll apologize to my sister. I'll try best to avoid insulting the mistress's looks. I also hope everyone who reads this update avoids insulting the mistress's looks. If she's making fun of you and insulting you to your husband when she knows that he's cheating, I feel like you can kind of say whatever you want at that point. It's really messed up by the both of them. Whatever you say is minuscule in comparison to the damage that both of those two are doing, especially to you, and especially if they continue saying it after knowing that you know. I think you're not the asshole for that one. Pristine Mastodon says, there's a caveat to the girl code. When a woman is knowingly banging your husband, you can call her whatever you see fit. It's the law, not the asshole. Random internet stranger says, especially since the mistress is knowingly hooking up with a married man and making fun of the wife. Mistress broke the girl code. Therefore, she is no longer protected by girl code from the betrayed wife. And AMC's The Working Dead says, I mean, it's not great, but damn Betty, read the room. It's not about your personal insecurities right now. Swallow it for later and tell your sister the woman looks like a dropped lasagna and probably smells like shag carpet in a home with long-haired dogs and no open windows. Also, OP, get tested. Always the first thing to do in this scenario. OP comes back with an update and says, thank you to all who left constructive comments. Even if you called me an asshole, I appreciate your comment as long as it was constructive. The person who had been my emotional support during this was Justin's sister Kelly, 49 female. Before last evening, I'd been slowly moving out my own stuff into Kelly's home. Last evening, Kelly did me the favor of telling Justin's parents Bob, 72 male, and Anne, 71 female. Yesterday evening, I took the last of my stuff and went to stay at Kelly's until I can find a place. I made sure to video chat my son Randall first. I can't even remember everything I said, so I'll give you the main points. I told him that he's the most important thing to his father and I, that we love him, but we are getting divorced. I told him that his father was cheating on me, and I told him how to find the mistress Vicky, 58 female, on social media. I told my son he doesn't have to hate her, and that he doesn't have to defend me against his father. I told him that I was at Kelly's house, and he said he'll visit this weekend. I told him I love you, and he said I love you too. I video chatted my husband Justin. The first thing I said was, our son, your parents, your sister and I all know that you are cheating. I got some sick satisfaction from the look on his face. I used his mistress's real full name, and I said she looks like me. Justin tried to speak, but I cut him off to say that our son and his parents hate him. Justin was apologizing, and I said I don't care. I told him to just make this divorce as smooth as possible. I don't care to fight for anything. I asked him to do this for me as a favor and preserve our son's old room as is. He agreed to do so, so I ended the video chat. He tried to call again, but I ignored it. This morning is when I video chatted my sister Betty, but before the video chat, I sent Betty some of the messages that Justin had sent to Vicky, where Justin body shamed me. In the video chat, I apologized for body shaming Vicky and said that I wouldn't do it again. Betty apologized for bringing that up in the moment. I told Betty that I was staying at Kelly's. I then asked Betty if she believes her husband loves and finds her sexy. Betty said yes. I told her then she should start acting like it. She asked if she can come to Kelly's this weekend, and I told my sister that I have enough support. I told her she doesn't need to come and that she should enjoy her husband who loves her. I was really petty yesterday and this morning, but that's the pettiest that I plan on allowing myself to be. I'm in a privileged position that I don't need to fight for money from my soon-to-be ex-husband. I hope that he's made this easy, especially since our son knows everything. I'm okay considering everything. Edits. I do not want my original post, nor my update, to encourage the hatred of overweight women. I had made a mistake of calling her a fat old slug. When I was ages 18, 19, and 20, I was an overweight woman. Hopefully I'll live long enough to be an old woman. I hate Vicky, but not because of her appearance. The Patriot 74 says, just don't shortchange yourself during the divorce. There is no need to be magnanimous with your cheating and lying ex. Good luck. Miss Spooncat says, to be honest, I can't judge a woman who was cheating for insulting the mistress. That being said, you were incredibly kind and self-aware for retracting your statements about her weight. I don't know that I would have reacted so respectfully or gracefully. OP replies, I still feel guilty though. I've been on an emotional roller coaster. Miss Spooncats replies, it's okay to feel guilty. It shows that you are a good person. A lesser person wouldn't feel guilt and would just chalk it up to, well, she's the mistress, so of course she deserves it. You feel guilt despite how you've been wronged, which tells me that you must be incredibly kind and compassionate. And OP replies to that, thank you. Which is also why I gave her a fake name, and I tell her age in the update post. In my original post, it felt dehumanizing how I only referred to her as the mistress or my husband's mistress. Vicky is a person I hate, but still a person. I don't want to allow myself to act in a way that I ended up hating myself. I also don't want to be a bad role model to my son. And Dopey comes back one day later with another update and says, yesterday, Sunday, I called my sister Betty and I told her that she can come over to my sister-in-law's house. Betty brought her husband Mike, 51 male. I gave Betty a proper apology for shaming Vicky, the mistress. I told Betty that I was angry about her pushback about me body-shaming my husband's mistress, but that I also got angry at Betty for stupid stuff. I started viewing memories of Betty and my husband Justin in a different light. Like how when Betty uses our pool, Justin would suggest that Betty wears a two-piece. Or all the times Justin called Betty sexy, or all the times he said that she didn't need to lose weight. I was also comparing my relationship with Justin and Betty's relationship with Mike. The majority of the time, I would have to initiate things with Justin. Also, he never did PDA. But Betty often mentions how Mike can't get enough of her, and I've seen how Mike is always all over her in public. I also noticed a pattern of when Justin was the most sexual and physically affectionate towards me was when I was on my period and bloated. Betty apologized to me again. She also mentioned how awful Justin's messages to Vicky about my body are. I told Betty that I've been jealous of her body since I've seen those messages. Betty said she's been jealous of my body since I lost the weight in my early 20s. I told my sister she should go to therapy if she feels that bad about her body. She said she will, and I told her that I would need therapy for everything that happened to me with my marriage. I also saw my son Randell, father-in-law Bob, and mother-in-law Anne in person last weekend. I didn't talk about Vicky with my son. Bob, Anne, and I looked through Vicky's Instagram, and Anne roasted her. In almost all of Vicky's Instagram pictures and videos, she's sweaty, messy, and wearing revealing clothing. A lot of her pictures and videos are of her at the club. In some videos, she makes references to pot. Anne called Vicky trashy and gross. She also said Vicky looks like she smells bad. Oh my god. What's wrong with you people? That's just so mean at this point. I enjoyed hearing that a little too much. My mum Jen, 69 female, lives in another state, so I didn't get to see her in person. Betty and I video chatted my mum. My mum is literally a bigger woman than Vicky, but my mum did some fat shaming. Betty and I just let my mum say all of that stuff about Vicky. I know that my son, father-in-law, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law have all spoken to Justin via video chat. Justin got heat from all of them, and all of them refused to see him in person. Justin says he still wants to talk to me, but I still haven't said anything since that video chat. There is nothing he can say. I get it. He wanted the curvy bad girl, and he's free to have fun with her. Accurate Mulberry says, "You've now apologized to Betty 3 times when she deserved none. Glad everything else is okay, but stop apologizing for someone else's insecurities." OP replies, "Betty is now angry with our mum because of our mum's comments on Vicky's body. This stupid thing is never ending. Could all the members of my family just stop making comments on Vicky's body? There are other things to criticize about Vicky." And Accurate Mulberry replies, "This has nothing to do with Vicky's gross body though. It has everything to do with Betty's insecurities." OP replies, "Honestly, I had to tell my son, sister, mum, sister's husband, husband's sister, husband's mum, and husband's dad to stop criticizing Vicky's appearance because of my sister. But also my son didn't appreciate the comments from my husband's mum. My son has a girlfriend who sweats a lot, and he didn't appreciate my mother-in-law insinuating that just because Vicky sweats a lot, that means she likely smells bad. Vicky is living her life, happily screwing my husband. Me and my family talk about her and fight about the things that we say about her. It is so ridiculous." The Procrastinator says, "Well, this was a mess." And Dear Occupant says, "It seems pretty straightforward to me. Opie had more difficulty handling the body shaming than she did with the peccant husband. Imagine the soon-to-be ex's reaction when he asks his sister if his wife ever talks about him and finds out that she spent the entire time since they split apologizing for insulting his bang buddy and hasn't really spent much thought on him at all." Oh my god, she's just living rent-free in this family's head, and that is so unhealthy. How are they all enabling each other? I don't understand the thought process. Did no one ever step in and be like, okay guys, we're taking this too far. We need to shut our mouths. We can't shut up about it. It's not even about the cheating anymore. We're just bullying Vicky for smelling bad and being fat. Are we the bad guys at this point? I get it to a point. I get the shaming to a point. I understand. But why is it still going on? It doesn't make any sense to me. Just chill. If you guys see people like this in your lives that just won't stop, can you please just tell them to chill? That's all I have on this one. I'm tired. I'm tired of this story. Let me know what you guys thought about that one, though. That was quite an interesting debacle that Opie has found themselves in. Am I the asshole for bringing my daughter to a child-free wedding? Hi everyone. I'm a 19-year-old mum to my beautiful 2-year-old daughter, Amelia. Just a bit of a backstory. Last year, I was asked to be a bridesmaid in a family friend's wedding. I was thrilled and immediately said yes, even though it was a child-free event. I had arranged for a babysitter, but about a week before the wedding, she informed me that she would no longer be in the city and couldn't watch my daughter. Given the short notice, I approached the bride and asked if I could bring Amelia to the wedding, as I didn't have time to find another trusted babysitter. My daughter is overall a very easygoing baby. She's comfortable with people and happy as long as she's fed. The bride knew this since she'd watched my daughter on multiple occasions before, and she happily agreed, saying that having Amelia there would make the wedding photos even more special. The wedding was going smoothly, though I noticed a few stares from the groom's parents. Amelia stayed with my sisters for most of the day, but during the reception, I took her with me to congratulate the couple. As I approached with Amelia in my arms, the groom's mother suddenly commented, "You shouldn't have brought the baby to a child-free wedding, especially when she doesn't fit the family." Oh shit, what a gut punch. That's crazy. Ow. I was completely taken aback. For context, my daughter is mixed. I'm half white and half Hispanic, and her father is black. I've been called whitewashed because I'm not in contact with my Hispanic family, so I knew exactly what she meant by saying my daughter didn't fit the family. The bride looked shocked, and the groom immediately stood up and led his parents away. Taking this as my cue, I decided that it was time to leave. I made the rounds to say goodbye to everyone and put Amelia in her stroller. As I was leaving, the bride came over to apologize for her in-laws' behavior. I was upset, but I knew that it wasn't her fault, so I simply wished her luck and left. Now, about a week after the wedding, I got tagged in a Facebook post, which is strange because I don't use Facebook. The post read, "I'm outraged that my grandchildren weren't allowed at this event, but when a teen mother who couldn't be responsible enough to leave her child with the father brings her baby, it's perfectly fine." The post was from the groom's mother. To make things worse, she's also been telling family members that I'm lying about what she said regarding my daughter's appearance. So now I'm wondering, am I the asshole? Jesus Christ, the mother-in-law is a piece of work and a half, that's for sure. Actually, what's her problem? Oh no, my grandkids couldn't come to the wedding, so I just had to be racist to this one because I hate them. Yeah, nice logic. Really sick logic there, actually. I can see why you think you might be the asshole in this situation because of the shitstorm that's going on online from this absolute vile excuse of a human. But rest assured, you're not. I understand she's been lying to people and telling them a complete falsification of what happened. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong in this instance. She's just a terrible human being that if I were that married couple, I'd be cutting her off. That's not excusable behavior. That's not something that will change ever with a person like that, I'd imagine. That's not someone that would be welcome in my life if I were them. Ambitioso says, "Not the asshole." Sounds like the groom's mother was upset by the no kids policy and wrongly took it out on you. It also sounds like the groom's mother is a dim-witted racist dingus. Ale or Shine says, "This is 100% what happened, and I feel really bad for OP's friend here. OP is not the asshole, although coming into this post, I thought it would be another story of, I had no other option, so I did this against the couple's wishes, and was pleasantly surprised. And I can't even say the groom holds any blame, because there's not enough information here to know what he said to his mother when he led her away, or what he did about the post. But the bride seemed to have been perfectly nice about the situation, and now that horrible woman is her mother-in-law." And Monarch of Donuts says, "Oh, not the asshole. I opened this thinking that I might vote differently. It's not cool to just swan into a child-free wedding with a kid, but you had responsibly made arrangements that fell through, then correctly asked for permission to bring your daughter. That permission was generously given by the bride. It was not the groom's mother's place to decide who could and could not attend. Given the nasty things she said on that day, and the drama she is so determined to stir up online, it's very obvious that the groom's mum is the asshole in this situation. You did your best in a rough situation, but she, on the other hand, only seems to be able to do her worst." And now there is an update to this situation, where OP says, "Hi again everyone. I first want to start off with a huge thank you for all the advice and reassurance. That said, before I go into this post, I've seen a few racist comments towards my daughter and remarks about my age and how I ruined my life. I'm extremely happy, and so is my daughter. She is beautiful, and it's terrible that people in this world will take their self-hate out on a 2-year-old. Anyways, I wanted to give an update and clarify a few things after reading the feedback I received. First off, I do have a Facebook account, but I don't use it often. I only found out about the post because someone sent it to me on messages, which is how I saw the groom's mother's comments. Regarding Amelia's father, he couldn't take her that weekend because he lives a bit farther away and struggles when plans change last minute, especially when it's not his scheduled day to have her. On top of that, my family members who I would trust to watch Amelia were all attending the wedding, so there weren't many other options. Now, some of you mentioned that I could have dropped out of the wedding, and I want to address that. Dropping out of the bridal party was actually the first option that I presented to the bride when I realized I couldn't find a new babysitter. I didn't want to complicate her big day. However, she didn't want me to drop out and reassured me that it would be fine to bring Amelia. So while bringing my daughter was the second option, the bride did have the choice of me stepping down if she preferred that. Yesterday, I spoke with the bride again, and she told me that she explained everything to her mother-in-law, making it clear that it wasn't my fault Amelia was there. It was a decision made between her and her husband. She also revealed the real reason behind the child-free rule. It wasn't directed at all kids. The bride had been trying to avoid having her mother-in-law's grandchildren there because they had been nightmares at other events, as described by the bride herself. The bride didn't want to cause any more drama by openly sharing that reason, so she kept it under the radar. I feel a lot better knowing that all my friends still support my decision, and I'm relieved that the real issue wasn't about me or Amelia. While I will definitely be more cautious with similar situations in the future, I'm glad I prioritized Amelia's safety and well-being. Thanks again to everyone who shared their thoughts. I truly appreciate it. Kitty So Perfect says, so OP didn't even break the rules. Mother-in-law just had beef with her own grandkids. Drama alert. Dimmyrag says, so mother-in-law's awfulness skipped a generation. Too bad her son didn't say anything after her comments. I hope now future events will be mother-in-law's grandchildren free. Eki Flump says, to be honest, the way that I read the OP, the groom dealt with it as sensibly as possible given the situation and timing. Family barbecue is where you light them up, not your wedding day. Or on Facebook after the wedding. Mary O'Marilyn says, mother-in-law sucks 100%, and I doubt that marriage will last long unless the groom does something about his mom. We had the inverse experience, funnily enough. Child-free wedding explicitly written on save the dates and invites, except for her nieces. Some people were pretty pissed and left after the ceremony, and then bride got upset that the rest of us weren't on the dance floor, because toddlers in puffy dresses are running around all over it and getting overstimulated. One saw my white Russian and came wanting a drink, so people weren't enjoying the bar anymore. Yeah, look, these things happen, and at least it wasn't the inverse experience, OP. I'm glad that it's water under the bridge for the most part, and this seems like as peaceful a resolution as you could really ask for. There was proper communication all around, the bride's feelings weren't hurt, this is a them problem, not a you problem. I don't think there's any more that you could have done here. Good job. But what do you guys think about this one? Let me know down in the comments below. Am I the asshole for giving my girlfriend an ultimatum about her male best friend? I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend Sarah, 26 female, for just over a year now. And while I love her, there's one thing that's been eating at me since the very beginning. Her relationship with her male best friend, Jake, 27 male. Jake has been Sarah's ride or die since college, and I knew from the start that they were close. But what I didn't realize was how much it would impact our relationship. I've always tried to be the chill, trusting boyfriend, as I don't want to be the guy who's threatened by a platonic friendship. But honestly, it's gotten to the point where I feel like I'm the third wheel in my own relationship. Jake and Sarah are practically inseparable. They hang out multiple times a week, having dinners, movie nights, spontaneous late-night drives, and I'm usually not even invited. If I try to join, it's awkward, like I'm crashing their private joke-filled world that I'm not a part of. It stings, but I tried to let it go for the sake of keeping the peace. But then things started to cross a line. Jake texts her constantly, even when we're together on dates. It's not just casual stuff either. He calls her babe and sweetheart, and when I brought this up to Sarah, she laughed and said that it was just their thing, and that it didn't mean anything. Apparently, they've been calling each other that for years. But to me, it feels like there's more to it. Who calls their best friend babe when they're in a relationship? Then there was the night that I stayed over at her place and woke up at 2 a.m. to find Sarah on FaceTime with Jake. She was giggling like a schoolgirl, whispering so she wouldn't wake me. When I asked her about it the next morning, she brushed it off, saying Jake needed someone to talk to. But what about me? Am I just here as background noise while she stays emotionally tethered to this guy? The final straw came last weekend. Sarah and I had been planning a special weekend getaway for our 1-year anniversary, something we'd been looking forward to for months. But out of nowhere, Jake invites her to a concert the same weekend. Sarah asked me if we could postpone our anniversary trip so that we could go with Jake instead, because it's a band they both absolutely love. I was floored. Our anniversary, something we'd been planning for months, could be just rescheduled for Jake? It was like I didn't even matter. I told her that this was too much and asked her to set clear boundaries with Jake, like no more pet names, no more hanging out one-on-one all the time, and definitely no more prioritizing him over our relationship. She blew up at me, calling me controlling and insecure. She even said, "You knew that Jake was a part of my life when we started dating. Why are you trying to change me now?" Things got worse when Jake apparently told her that I was being toxic and trying to manipulate her. Sarah is siding with him, saying that I'm overreacting and that nothing has ever happened between them. She's now furious with me for giving her an ultimatum when all I really asked for were some boundaries that would make me feel like I'm her boyfriend, not just a side character in her life with Jake. Now, Sarah's giving me this silent treatment, and I'm starting to feel like I've somehow become the villain in my own relationship. Am I losing my mind here? I'm not asking her to drop Jake completely, just to prioritize us and respect our relationship. But maybe I've been unreasonable. So Reddit, am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to set boundaries with her male best friend? Or is this friendship way too close for comfort? I think everyone's just going to tell you here to just end the relationship. You're being disrespected to your face in real time. If she's done this already, she doesn't respect the relationship, and you asking for clear communication in this situation is not going to make her change her mind. That's what I believe. You can delude yourself otherwise if you would like to try and salvage this relationship, but I don't think you're in a relationship with this girl anymore. Let Jake have her. You go find someone that actually respects you. If she's going to do this to you with Jake, she's going to do this to Jake with someone else. You will be saving yourself a lot of time and a lot of heartbreak if you just cut the cord now and run. Iggy582 says, do everyone a favor and end this thing now. You'll be doing Sarah a favor. She can have Jake, and you will be doing Jake a favor. He can have Sarah. Most of all, though, you will be doing yourself a huge favor because you can find someone who sees you as her ride or die, and someone who is actually loyal to you because, after all, loyalty is the single most important factor in a friendship. Not being nice or liking the same things. Sarah does not believe that she needs to be loyal to you. You know how I know? We can only truly know what we believe versus what we think we believe by watching how we act. Her actions speak volumes. The Brittany Seaman says, I suspect Jake is her moon that she doesn't want to settle on, but doesn't want to let go for the attention that he gives her. Otherwise, why aren't they together if they've been ride or die since college? OP also doesn't mention Jake's status, but I'ma say single because he's waiting for her to see the light. You Must Be Jokin' says, not the asshole. First point, Jake can have an opinion, but that's not relevant to your relationship. Honestly, it sounds like they are dating. I think you giving an ultimatum was never going to end well for you. Honestly, you know that he's her number one priority. Even if she doesn't say it in words, she declares it in all of her actions. I think fundamentally, Jake is the third person in your relationship, and he will always win. If you can handle that, stay. If not, go find your ride or die person. Life is too short to be uncomfortable and frustrated in your romantic relationship after a year. OP comes back pretty quickly with an update and says, Hey Reddit, I'm back with an update, and let me just say, it didn't turn out how I expected at all. I first want to thank you all for the amazing support that you have all given me. After reading over the comments and talking to some of you guys, I have made up my mind. I was done being second place in my own relationship, and I was ready to walk away. But what happened next surprised me. Saturday night, Sarah came over to talk. I was prepared to have the breakup conversation, but before I could get a word in, she told me something unexpected. She had cancelled the concert plans with Jake. She said that after our last conversation, she realized how serious I was, and it made her think about everything. She told me she had been selfish, that she had been taking our relationship for granted. She said she'd told Jake that she couldn't go to the concert, and instead, she wanted to spend the weekend with me. No distractions, no third wheels, just us. I was honestly shocked. Part of me didn't believe it. For months, I had been asking her to set boundaries with Jake, and suddenly she was doing it? It felt surreal, like a last-minute effort to save something that was already broken. But she seemed sincere. She apologized not just for the concert situation, but for all the times that she had ignored my feelings, dismissed my concerns, and prioritized Jake over us. She admitted that she had been blind to how much it hurt me and said that she didn't want to lose me. It was emotional, she was crying, and I could see how much it scared her that I was about to walk away. For the first time in a long time, it felt like she was choosing me. But here's the thing. As much as I appreciated her apology, it didn't magically fix everything. I told her that while cancelling the concert was a good step, it didn't erase all the hurt. I still felt like I had been competing with Jake for too long, and trust once broken is hard to rebuild. We ended up spending the weekend together as planned. We didn't go on the big anniversary trip, but we stayed in, cooked together, and had long conversations about everything. Our relationship, Jake, the future. It was a roller coaster of emotions. There were moments where I felt like maybe we could make this work, but also moments where the damage felt too deep to repair. By today, I was emotionally drained. Sarah seemed to think that things were heading in the right direction, but I still wasn't sure. I needed space to think. So I told her that we should break up, give each other some time to reflect, and see if this relationship was something we both wanted to fight for. She didn't take it well. She cried again, begged me not to, said she'd prove to me that she was serious about changing, but I needed to be alone to clear my head without the constant push and pull of emotions. So I left. I haven't spoken to her since. We agreed to give it a couple of weeks before we decide anything, but to be honest, I'm still leaning toward ending things for good. Could she really have set boundaries with Jake after everything? I find this hard to believe after months of me begging. I feel like I've already checked out of the relationship, and while her efforts are appreciated, I can't shake the feeling that it's too little too late. I've always cared about Sarah, but this whole situation has made me realize how important it is to be with someone who values and respects you from the beginning. Someone who doesn't make you feel like you have to compete for their attention. You all think she might have cheated on me with Jake, so Reddit, I ask, should I give her another chance, or should I go through with the breakup? Electrical Baker says, should you give her another chance, or should you walk away? It's a question only you could answer. What is your gut telling you? Do you feel like she was being sincere? Did you ask her if she cheated on you with Jake? What I'm also curious about is what happened between her and Jake after your last discussion. I don't mean did they have sex. No, I mean did they talk about the situation? Did he shoot his shot to win her over and she rejected him and maybe see the situation for what it is? Some suggested that maybe she wanted to have a relationship with him, but he refuses to settle down. I reread the original post. Talking to him at 2 a.m. in the morning while you're asleep, late night drives, going to dinners and movies, while she's in a relationship with you. That is really weird and very suspicious. I'm curious, did she come over on her own accord, or did you ask her to come over to talk? If she came on her own, then that's a big plus. I think you have a good idea about taking a break. If it were me, I don't know. After the break, you have to see how you feel about her. Also, what happens to Jake in all of this? Is she going to part ways with him, or is he still going to be in the background? I think I would tell her that Jake has to go. Point out that he told her that you were being toxic and you don't trust him. Please keep us updated on what you decide. College Prestige says, I suspect one of Jake or Sarah wants to be in a relationship with each other and the other doesn't. The question is, who is the one that doesn't want it? And Haystack replies, this is genuinely such an astute takeaway. I couldn't quite register to myself why I felt so ambivalent about Sarah. My money's on Jake being the more destructive force. I would never encourage anger and upset in a friend unless I wanted them to act on it. OP might be over or under critical of both individuals, but there is no excuse for Jake tempering discontent in someone else's relationship. My money's on Jake being the one that doesn't actually want to be in a relationship. I feel like maybe Jake just wants sex. Either way, Jake and Sarah both enjoy the games that they're playing together, but at least Sarah has the self-awareness to be like, you know what, I'm gonna put the foot on the brake a little bit here. I know I'm doing too much. I'm sad to see OP being caught up in the do I leave, do I stay kind of questioning of themselves here. From the start, this should have just been, your relationship with Jake is unacceptable. I'm not going to stand for this. I'm out. I can see why he did the ultimatum, but please, when you're in situations like this, you just cut your losses and run. It's not worth it. Anyway, am I being stupid here? Am I not seeing it from the right perspective? Let me know down in the comments below. With that said, let's go to the next story. This one's posted by a deleted account and is titled, I'm breaking up with my boyfriend of 2 years because of a TikTok comment. I feel so icky. So we've been together since I was 16 and he was 17. My friend sent me a link to this TikTok of these two guys talking about how one of them cheated on his girlfriend. She cheated on him after finding out, instead of working to fix the relationship, quote unquote. The man in the video said that it was his biggest heartbreak because while his one-night stand meant nothing to him, she slept with one of his ex-friends who she had a crush on before they got together. The video said that it's a woman's duty to be nurturing and forgiving in a relationship, and that women have to understand that certain men just aren't monogamous. Most normal individual. My friend sent it to me and said, "I cannot believe how out of touch these men are," and after watching the TikTok, I decided to read the comments. The first one I see is my boyfriend tagging two mutual friends of ours and saying, "women," with a T emoji. Oh, hell nah. One of our friends responded to the comment and said, "Females are so dramatic," and my boyfriend responded, agreeing to him. I feel sick. I thought that we had the same views on things like this. He was raised by a single teen mum who worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over his head, food in his mouth, and allow him to play soccer despite their tight budget and expensive Little League fees. When we first started dating, I asked him who his role model was, and he said his mum. He went on and on about how strong and brave she is, and how much he appreciates her for all she does for him. His mum was single and living alone at 17 because my boyfriend's father cheated on her after she gave birth and was recovering because he can't be expected to just not have sex for 8 weeks. I'm just upset? I don't know. I'm at school right now typing this out in one of the bathroom stalls because I just can't keep this to myself anymore. I'm disgusted with him. He texted me earlier this morning asking if I want to hang out after school, and I said yes. I'm gonna break up with him and tell him why. Edit to add, he has commented under almost every post this account has made, agreeing with all of their misogynistic views. He thinks that girlfriends and wives are property of the men that they are with. Edit 2, I'm not just gonna show up at his house and say, "we're done," and leave. I'm gonna tell him what I saw, and if there is no explanation for it, I don't know what the hell kind of justification there is for the shit that he said, but we'll see, then I'll break up with him. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt as much as I can. I don't know why some of y'all think that I'm just gonna say, "we're over," with no explanation or discussion. I don't know why you're wasting your time, OP. You guys are both still in school, or by the sounds of it, he's just out of school. This is normal, just stupid, brainless shittery from someone in your age range. So it's to be expected that he hasn't got a fully developed frontal lobe? Neither do you, but at least you're not saying stupid shit like he is online. You're not going to get a good justification from him. I don't think he's capable of thinking of one at this point yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what you do, but hey, not worth sticking in this relationship if you want a sane individual as your partner. Back up to the post, there is a mini update. Y'all, okay, so in a short amount of time from my last comment to now, shit hit the fan. Oh, did it? I believe you. I made my last comment from my car and then started driving back home to hopefully try and get my shit together before he gets off of work in 20 minutes. His mother called me while I was in the car. Literally, as I'm driving 2 minutes away from my house, she calls me to ask me what side I want her to make for Thanksgiving. She's a literal angel, what the hell? And I tried to keep it together as best as I could. I guess she could hear that I was upset because she said in her mum voice, "Aw, what's wrong, beautiful?" And I started sobbing. Like so bad that I had to pull over at the entrance of my neighborhood, and I told her the bare minimum of what I'd seen, as much as I could through a shit ton of snot and tears. And she was just dead silent for like 20 seconds. And I swear my heart fell out of my asshole. What? Who says that? What? Man, I felt so bad my heart literally fell out of my asshole. She said, "Honey, he's not at work right now." And I damn near died. Get this, y'all. Her best friend owns a bunch of apartment complexes. Like luxury, nice apartments. Like the 3.5K a month kind. This mother effer is viewing an apartment to surprise me with when I graduate. His mum said her friend offered one of her apartments to my boyfriend for a dirt cheap price, and he's planning to get all the papers signed and surprise me with it on Valentine's Day since the current tenant, the friend's oldest daughter, is moving into a house with her wife and their lease ends on February the 1st. His mum's coming over to look at the screenshots that I have, then she's taking me back to their house to confront him. She's literally the sweetest, you guys. She said she wanted to be in the house when I talked to him just in case. Currently sitting right inside the front door of my house, taking the 8 minutes in between their house and mine to type this out. I'm in shock. I'm just waiting for her to pull up, so I'll update as soon as I can. I don't think I'm that sad anymore. I'm just pissed off and confused as hell. And now on to the updates. First things first, I see a lot of people thinking the apartment changes things. It does not. My wording was off, and I apologize. When I said I wasn't sad anymore, I meant no longer was grieving our relationship. I was angry at him. The apartment was never going to make me stay with him. Second, also about the apartment, it's $3.5K for a 1-bedroom. His mum said he was looking at a 3-bedroom, which would have been our room and then an office for each of us. We would have been paying maybe $1K a month for what's usually $5.8K monthly apartments. I only brought up this price because he graduated high school last year, is not in college, he works a good job though, and I'm still in high school. We spoke briefly about getting an apartment in that complex once we're on our feet financially. I should have included that in the previous post, because while his mum's friend owns cheaper apartments, he was getting the one that we both deemed our dream. I don't know what to feel right now. I just can't make sense of anything at the moment, so this update might be messy and all over the place. Now on to the update, I guess. The talk. I got to his house and immediately showed him the screenshots. I asked him what the hell they were and told him I was disgusted with him. I could literally see the color drain from his face. Kinda shocking. He started talking really fast, and after like 45 seconds of rushed explanation, he just stopped. He stopped talking for a minute or two and just stared at the floor. This pissed me off so damn bad, so I got up to leave. He grabbed my hand and told me he could explain everything. He handed me his phone and told me to open his Discord and click on one specific server. Y'all, I kinda just stared at him because, what the hell? Anyways, he explained to me that one of the 2 guys he was tagging in these posts was a chauvinist, and him and a few other people were gathering evidence to send to the dude's girlfriend. I did not believe him at all. Then this guy opens his laptop and pulls up one of those group Google Doc things, and it goes back like a month and a half. Him and some friends had noticed some weird behavior from the dude and decided to warn his girlfriend. But the problem is, she's naive, and they thought she wouldn't believe them without evidence. The doc had links to every TikTok they'd all commented on, screenshots of all their comments, and screenshots from the Discord of them deciding what TikTok to comment on and what to say. The comments he made. On the Discord server, someone sent a screenshot of a private message from the guy, Dean, they were gathering evidence about, basically saying he didn't trust my boyfriend because my boyfriend never said anything negative about me. So, the other mutual, let's call him Lucas, he tagged in the videos, came up with the genius idea that my boyfriend should talk shit about me publicly and call me his bitch and his property to gain the dude's trust. Literally, what the hell? I told my boyfriend that even if this was a setup for the dude, what he said about me was unacceptable and downright effing disgusting. He agreed wholeheartedly and showed me the part of their conversation where my boyfriend refused to say the things that Lucas told him to, even after Lucas told my boyfriend that Dean didn't trust him. My boyfriend's brilliant solution? Give Lucas his TikTok password so Lucas could just do it. I saw in the server that my boyfriend did give Lucas his password, and Lucas even sent a screenshot of the first comment right after he made it. For the past week and a half, that's when the first comment about me was posted, Lucas had been in my boyfriend's TikTok. At this point, boyfriend was in tears and told me he was so sorry and would leave the Discord, block Lucas, and never talk to him again. He even said he would delete TikTok and let me set up parental settings on his phone to ensure he doesn't download it again. I said no to everything except him leaving the Discord and not participating in the doc anymore. On me telling him I know about the apartment / the aftermath, I basically just told him that I know, and due to all of this, I won't be moving in with him. He was upset that the surprise was ruined for me, but said he understands. He told me that he will respect my wishes and wouldn't move forward with getting the apartment. He brought up couples therapy and said that he would go to individual therapy as well. He also offered to message Lucas and tell him off. In his notes app, there's like 3 paragraphs written already. Apparently after the one comment Lucas made about cheating on me, boyfriend was trying to find a way to end whatever it was they were doing. I told him that I would go to couples therapy if, and only if, he 1. Did individual therapy for a month or a bit more, weekly appointments, and when his therapist suggests I come in for a session with them, says that they think he's learned from this. 2. Messages Lucas in front of me, and 3. Never pulls any shit like this again. I did say that maybe it's not best we be together in between now and when he feels as though he's had enough individual therapy to be ready for couples therapy. He got very emotional and said that while he understands and respects what I want, he loves me and doesn't want us to end. He told me to take all the space I need, but asked me to not count this as a breakup. He said he still wanted to be able to call himself my boyfriend. I'm pissed as hell at him, but the way he phrased it was so cute. I told him okay, no break up, but definitely a break. Ground rules for the break. He brought ground rules up first. He told me that they don't have to be for me, but he wants to show me he's sorry and prove that he doesn't agree with what Lucas said at all. His solution, give me rules to follow and I will. Every day until I've made this up to you. 1. No contact with Dean. 2. This is not a Ross and Rachel situation. No dating, flirting, or sleeping with anyone else. 3. Apologize to his damn mother. 4. Texting is okay, but not like we did before this. No texting multiple times an hour. No talking just to talk. Checking in, good morning, and good night texts are okay. He came up with 1, 2, and 4. I told him to apologize to his mum for almost making her pop a blood vessel in the Dairy Queen parking lot. On Lucas, he texted Lucas in front of me, basically just copy and pasted a message he was already planning to send, but he added some things. The gist of it is, I can't believe I went along with this. I can't believe I let you say that shit about my girlfriend. Why the hell would you even think of her that way? Don't ever talk to either of us again. Then he blocked him. He blocked Dean as well, not before calling him out and sending the doc link to him and Dean's girlfriend, as per my request. On the Kraken, my boyfriend's mum, they're talking right now. She's pissed. She was in the room next to the one that we were in, so she heard most of what was said. He's showing her the screenshots of the Discord and the messages he sent Dean and Lucas. When we first got here, I had to convince her to let me talk to him first. She was gonna beat his ass. I saw some comments briefly about it being weird that she wanted to be in the house, just in case, so let me explain. Boyfriend's father was abusive. That's the short story. The long story is that he said a lot of the things that were in the screenshots, and when she would talk to him about it, he would hit her. My boyfriend has never been violent with me or anyone. Mama Bear was just applying her past into the present situation because she didn't want me to go through what she did. On Thanksgiving, boyfriend said that he wanted me here for Thanksgiving. He said he'd be in his room the whole time so I could spend the holiday with his mum and her friends. I said no. He should be able to spend the holiday with his family. He asked me if I'd come for his mum, and I said I'd think about it. I think that's everything. I don't know how I feel right now. I'm tired and overwhelmed. I'll be going to individual therapy as well. I'm waiting until boyfriend and his mum get done talking so she can take me home, and then I'll probably sleep for 12 hours. Thank you for the support. It kept me sane. Everything today happened so damn fast that my head is spinning. These past 5 hours have felt like 50. OP adds info in the comments. I'm not mad at him for the comments anymore. The break is gonna last like a day or two max. I need time to calm down. A few hours ago, I thought my boyfriend thought of me as his property. He suggested therapy, individual and couples. We've been friends since the 3rd grade, been in love since the 6th, and we both want to make this work. The comments I made about his mum kicking his ass were metaphorical, not literal. She's currently giving him a stern talking to about how his actions, even if they have good intents, can hurt others without him intending them to. I suggested the break because I wasn't sure if he was wanting therapy just for me. He's spoken to me before about his issues with anxiety and depression. I wanted him to seek help for him, not me. He knows about the post. He doesn't care that I posted on here. He has the link and will be reading everything tonight. On the friendship with Lucas, he wasn't trying to get me to forget everything and just move on. He's been wanting to unfriend Lucas since the first comment was made. As for the Thanksgiving thing, he knows how much I love his mom and how much she loves me. I know it's strange, but I didn't explain it very well in the post. I was, and still am, trying to calm down and organize my thoughts. On the comments itself, OP says, "Seeing my boyfriend's TikTok account comment, gonna use this tactic on my bitch, gotta keep her in line. Paraphrased, as I cannot be bothered to look at the screenshots again, they make me sick, was sickening. I don't feel like I overreacted. I'm not mad at him anymore, I'm pissed in general, mostly at Lucas and a little bit at Dean. I'm still trying to sort out my emotions. I agree that he was doing what he thought was right, I just wish that he told me, hey, please ignore these comments because XYZ. That was an emotional rollercoaster, OP. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm glad that you stayed with him. It's going to be really sick when you guys fix this relationship together and he doesn't do that again because he's going to learn his lesson. It's really cool that he agreed to do these things in the first place because that was definitely something that was going to work and show that his friend was a chauvinist and they were going to save the day. Looking forward to that update that is not coming in the future, OP, because that was a very sane thing for you to do. So thank you for the story. What did you guys think of this one down below? Let me know in the comments, huh? Now let's go right into our next story. This story is posted by user Stopping Me All Day, titled, "Someone opened a credit card in my name and ran up a $6,000 bill. My mum told me just to ignore it, but it turns out she was the one who opened it. I'm looking for my next steps here as I'm still in college and 3 hours away from home. Long story short, I applied for a job for my last year of school which required a background check. When I found out that I didn't get the job a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't too shocked as I'm sure a lot of people applied for the spots. But what did shock me was when I got a letter on Tuesday from the employer which said information in my credit may have been used against me. It then listed a charged-off account and multiple missed payments on an account. I've never been even a day late in my life for the one credit card that I've had since I was 18. When I went to pull my credits, I saw the charged-off account, which looks like it was last updated in June. Immediately, I figured my credit card had been stolen and I called my mum. She said if I didn't open the account, just ignore it, and if I get sued, tell the judge an unknown person stole my identity. That didn't make any sense to me, as anyone could say that about anything whenever they get sued. When I told her that I was probably going to talk to the cops about it, she said I wouldn't want those people in my life. My roommate said it sounded like my mum opened the account and doesn't want to get in trouble for it. I was able to speak with someone in the fraud department for the card, and they got me some information about it. Several cash advances from an ATM about a block from my mum's house, along with a couple of stores in my hometown. I told my mum all of that, and I asked her to come clean. She refused, and got mad at me for accusing her of stealing my identity. Finally, I told her that I'm going to the police about it, and she blew a gasket, saying she needed the money and to mind my business. She said that I can't call the police because they might revoke her probation, felony battery charges from last year, and she might end up doing time in county. I can't really sacrifice my future in this case, and while I love my mum, I'm devastated that she would do this to me. I think I should go to the cops, but I'm feeling some guilt about it." Ah yes, the age-old, yeah, I know I committed a crime against you, and I stole from you to your face and then I lied to you about it, and I'm only sorry because I got caught, but you shouldn't make me face the consequences of my actions because, I might go to jail because I'm on probation for felony battery charges. Oh my god. At this point, she deserves to go in there for that because what's going on? She needs to go learn her lesson, OP. The alternative to this situation is somehow magically coming up with enough money to pay that credit off, but then still having the strikes against you and, having her probably steal from you again like this? There is no good alternative here. Get her ass in jail. Better call Saul. Vorwall says, "The utter balls of someone wrecking your credit and then telling you to mind your business when you try to hold them to account for it?" DCA Mum says, "It cost OP a job and credit history already. Definitely their business." OK Management says, your mum wants you to care more about her current and future situation than she cares about yours. That is not okay. File that police report and get your life settled. She's a grown-ass adult who can settle her own life, and should be doing it without dragging her own children down. Over it, but what the hell says, and it is your business, OP. It's your future, and your mum is an effing bitch for doing this to you. Stop protecting the one person who always should have had your back, but stole from you instead. And OP says, that's what I plan on doing. And not long after, OP comes back with an update and says, I ended up filing a police report for identity theft. The day after I did it, I got a call from an investigator, and we talked for about 20 minutes. We also talked a little about the job that I applied for, which is federal, and he said their background investigator would definitely be pulling his report for the identity theft. Because of that, I decided to go through with the charges. Last week, the investigator called me back to confirm that I would be willing to testify against my mother, though he didn't think that it would come to that, and would likely end with a plea. I told him I would. Yesterday, my mum got arrested on her way home from work. She has an initial appearance this afternoon, but on her previous felony, it looks like a petition to revoke has been filed with a date later this month. I feel like she's gonna snap like she's never snapped before on me when she gets out. Probably later today. I don't plan on answering the phone. Robulus says, a mother should never do this to their own child. Someone who would do this probably won't learn accountability through this. So just know you did the right thing and you are the victim here. Beaushaw says, as a decent human being and a parent, this boggles my mind. How messed up do you have to be to do this to your kid? That and how on earth do you think you will not get caught? Yeah, I get some people are trash and fine with stealing, but how could you do it to your own kid? And yet every single case of identity theft that has crossed my desk has been a family member, and most are parents, usually mothers. And Rain Shoddy replies, my mum did this to me. Knowing what I know now, I assumed that she thought that it was free money to get her through, and I wouldn't need credit for a while, so she'd fix it before it was a problem. I found it and made her pay it off the same week. She taught me nothing about money because she obviously was clueless, so my credit wasn't great anyway, and I didn't know that I should do anything else, so she got away with it. It's fine now. We haven't spoken for a decade because she won't ever change, and I'm over it. I would never do that to my own kids. Last comment syndrome coming in, but the I would never do that to my own kids. I think of a lot of interactions that I see both from my own personal experience and from watching other parents with their kids, and I'm like, how can you do that to your kids? Like, some of the punishments I've seen are just insane and barbaric, and I'm like, that's a human that you are going to traumatize. What's going on with you people? Where is your brain? Where is your empathy? But bringing it back, that's very much what this situation is about as well. Why would you take out credits in your kid's name and tank their history like that and then not learn from your... Like, there is no planning. There is only me. It's about me and how I feel in my situation. How can I scam others to make my situation better temporarily, in which I will just sink this ship again? I'm a crab in a bucket and I'm going to drag everyone down with me. Like, I don't blame people for cutting off their parents for doing this to them. If you have the self-awareness of being like, they're the problem, they're not going to change, you shouldn't subject yourself to these people. You should just cut your losses and run. Anyway, that's my point of view in this situation. I'd love to know yours. Let me know down in the comments below. Am I the asshole here for completely cutting my wife off from our finances because she couldn't stop ordering takeout? I am 41 years old and male. My wife is 39 years old. My wife doesn't work due to a minor disability. It's not as if she can't work, but she complains of discomfort and exhaustion all the time. The discussion over her working basically ended 5 years ago, and I've completely given up on the prospect of her ever having a job again. Seeing as she doesn't even come close to qualifying for disability and brings in no income, we currently live entirely off my salary. I don't mind financially supporting her, but my wife's spending habits have gradually become more and more reckless. It began with her ordering takeout twice a week, and then escalated into 3 times a week, and now she's ordering takeout nearly every day. This is all despite our fridge being stocked constantly. I do the shopping, and I make sure to even keep our freezers full of things that she would only have to microwave. Last month was a particularly heavy one for me. She spent $1,176 on delivery apps alone. We can't afford this. There were several days that she ordered twice. I may have reacted harshly, but on Friday, I pulled money out of our savings, completely paid off the card, and then cancelled it. I then removed all the money from our joint account and funneled it into my own account. Apparently, my wife learned this when she tried to order takeout. She tried to call the company, who explained the card had been cancelled. She texted me asking what had happened, and I responded that she was cut off. Well, when I walked in the door that evening, my wife was lying on the floor dramatically saying that she had low blood sugar. I told her she could eat any of the food we have in our fridge or freezer, and I also noticed that she took the garbage out, probably for the first time in a decade. I'm surprised she even knew where the outdoor bin was. I can only assume that she was disposing of the evidence of what she ate, as she was pretending to have not eaten. But I honestly don't care enough to dig through the garbage to find it. She was furious at me all weekend. Was what I did over the top? Look, OP, I'ma be real. Just divorce her. You can talk this one out all you want. You can come together and fix this solution, and she can get back to work and making money, and all will be hunky-dory. I just don't see it happening. Just doesn't sound realistic. If you've already had to completely take control of finances, I can see her now crying to her family and your family about you financially abusing her. I'd just cut my losses and run. I know that's easier said than done. I know you've been married for a long time. There's a lot of, emotional investment there. But this wouldn't be the first time a marriage that has gone on this long was ended because of finances and one partner not putting in the same effort that the other partner wants from them. Not the arsehole OP. Emo Bassist says, not the arsehole. $1,176 on takeout? That's half a month's wages for me. No, this needs to stop, and the manipulation with the blood sugar thing is beyond overdramatic, and the fact she then took garbage after years of not doing it proves that she knows what she is doing. Busy Persimmon says, I'm wondering if it'll save money long-term to divorce her. Damn. Nasaja says, this thinking is actually justified. I know of a 30-plus year marriage that ended up in divorce, and a very big part of it had to do with finances. One worked, and the other refused to, and used their child and then grandchild to justify their own personal spending habits and refusal to work. Craziness. And Mishi says, not the arsehole. Wow, your wife spent close to my food, fuel, entertainment, clothing, etc. budget for the month just on takeout. She needs to get a job, part-time at minimum. Why are you still married? Opie then comes back with an update and says, 9 days ago, I made a post about how my unemployed wife had spent $1,176 on delivery apps in just a month. This is egregiously outside of what we can afford to spend on takeout, and since she didn't seem willing to stop, I cancelled our credit card and moved the money from our joint account into my own. For the following few days, my wife kept talking about how I was financially abusing her. I called it. She threw several tantrums despite apparently being severely malnourished, threatened divorce, threw a bunch of the food we had in the fridge away to try and strong-arm me into letting her get takeouts, and even tried to guess my bank account password a bunch of times. Sorry, my password isn't Taco Bell 123. That last one was how I learned that if you try to guess someone's bank account password enough times, the bank will send them an automated email. But last Friday, the complaints and threats stopped. She seemed mostly back to normal, and I figured she had given up. That was until today, which was garbage day. When I took the last bag out before taking the bin down to the curb, I discovered a dozen fast food bags and other takeout containers in it. My wife wasn't supposed to have access to money. I had no idea how she was affording the food. I confronted her about it, and at first, she denied everything. I had to bring all of her fast food garbage in to get her to fess up. She had taken out a loan. Now, I thought that she had borrowed money from a friend or a family member, but she had taken out one of those predatory payday loans. And before you ask, no, I have no idea how she was approved. Within the next hour, I froze my credit. I then drove her to the payday loan place, where I paid the loan off in cash. I now have to dip further into my savings to pay the rent. I suppose in a certain way, cutting her off was successful. She didn't order takeout anymore, she just drove to the restaurants to pick up her food, for the low price of $20 for every $100 she borrowed, or $60 in fees in total. In addition, I told her that we would be getting divorced. So yeah, my marriage is over. I don't even know what alimony laws in my state are like, but I assume she'll happily live in a cardboard box under a bridge if Uber Eats will bring her food there. Oh, that's such a cold thing to say about your wife, but I back it. Aegon says, I think divorce is the best course of action here. She needs professional help, but that's not your problem anymore. I'm glad you took steps to protect yourself financially. Sadly, there is just fundamentally something wrong with her, and soon she'll self-destruct, starting with the divorce. OP replies, when I paid off the payday loan, I decided that that would be the last thing that I ever did for her. It was far more than she deserved. My sister has been addicted to heroin for over 20 years. I haven't talked to her in about a decade, but this was the kind of shit that she would pull. I remember how she and her loser boyfriend would steal shit from my room to pawn so they could buy more drugs, and I honestly wouldn't put it past my wife at this point to start selling my things so that she could buy more Chipotle. I'm sorry. I'm just so furious, because as I worked every day, my wife sat around ordering takeout and living like a queen, and when the almost literal gravy train stopped, she decided to imperil our financial future for more food. And my god, she has gotten so fat. She's basically waddling around like a penguin now. But what really pisses me off is that after taking out that payday loan, instead of putting it into a new account to order takeout, she went to the restaurant drive-thrus. It was almost as if she wanted to stretch it to last for as long as possible, which wasn't an issue when it was money that I earned. She knew that the payday loan was probably a one-time Hail Mary, so she actually, in her own twisted little way, tried to exercise financial responsibility. People in the last post yelled at me for not communicating. We had fought about this dozens of times. Every time the credit card bill rolled in, I would tell her that she needed to stop, that we were losing everything because of her habits. I told her again and again and again, but she didn't give a shit. She needed more of that garbage. I honestly don't give a damn. If she's depressed, I don't care. If she's agoraphobic, which I doubt, I don't care. She's never even shown the slightest bit of remorse. Eventually, even my sister, with her heroin-addled brain, apologized for stealing my GameCube. My wife couldn't even do that. She's a lazy piece of shit faking a disability, and people are blaming me as if that absolved her of all wrongdoing. If it makes me an asshole, then fine. I'm not screwing up the rest of my life because some dim-witted sloth with a disability can only muster up the energy to get off her ass when it involves food that she bought with money that someone else earned. A La Luna says, I'm sorry to read this update, OP. Given that she risked tanking her credit for something as dumb as a payday loan, it seems this might be about more than just takeout and could indicate a deeper, emotional problem for her. I hope that she addresses it before her life unravels and that you find some peace after the separation. OP replies, I honestly don't even care about her anymore. I'm actually kind of happy about the payday loan. You see, I read through every comment in the last post. All of them, and I tried to understand her feelings. People kept telling me that she had mental health issues or that she needed therapy. I did my best to understand, and I was actually going to start giving her $300 of prepaid credit card spending money every month, as was suggested. Could we typically afford $300 a month on a takeout? Not really, no. But it would have been something for her to look forward to. Now, all I can think is that with her issues, she was allowed to be as self-centered as she wanted. But when was it going to be my turn to have something for myself? My work boots have a giant hole in them that I've duct taped closed twice. And that $1,176 would have bought me the best work boots out there. So I had people wagging a finger at me in the last post. You're an asshole for how you treat her for her disability. Screw her disability, screw her, and screw the people who said this was somehow all my fault. But I'm sure the same people will show up with some delusional fantasy about her having a wonderful post-breakup glow-up or something. Oh shit, tell me how you really feel, OP. I loved that. You were spitting venom, but you were spitting truth. Glad to hear that Leech, disguised as your wife, is now out of your life and that you are moving on to greener pastures. But what about you guys? What do you think? Was OP too harsh here? Let me know down in the comments below. And let's move on to our next story. Okay, so this one's by user Cohen26, titled, "My girlfriend's, female 27, boss, male 34, has made some comments about me, male 25, that made me feel disrespected, especially her response. How should I approach this? I'm a PhD student who has been dating an executive assistant for 5 months. It's going well. We have a lot of fun, we are both crazy busy, so frequently our dates out are Chinese food and Redbox movies. But it's all good. She goes to a lot of events with her boss, business dinners and charities, and basically anything where he's too lazy to bring a notepad and makes her give her finite free time to accompany him. I get invited to some, partially due to my desire to actually see my girlfriend, and, due to school and work, went to the first last weekend, a dinner at his house. A casual business mixer type deal. I was underdressed. My definition of business casual was navy slacks and a button-up. By the time I showed up, a little late admittedly, it was too late to stop by my place and fix this. Oh well, I'm confident, I don't care, but she seems to, and is slightly irritated. We get there and I meet her boss, who's kind of smug and a bit of an ass, but seems nice enough. Right away, she asks, "Rob, do you mind if Cohen borrows a tie and jacket?" I didn't relay the dress code. And he says, "That's unlike you. But sure, the jacket'll be too big in the shoulders, but go ahead." She leads me up to the guy's bedroom and goes right into his closet and grabs some stuff. That night, everyone basically ignored me, but she didn't seem to notice. She was too busy backing up everything this guy said and mingling with co-workers. She apologized later, said that she can get a bit obsessive about work. I understand and vowed to never go back, and that was that. Last night, I was over and using her computer for some assignments, as mine's down, and I go to send myself an email of my work, hers is up, and I figure, whatever, this'll work just as good, until I notice the subject of one is, "Your boyfriend." I open it, and it's from the boss. He says, "Your boyfriend has my favorite tie. Procure it promptly. You would choose that one out of hundreds of other ones, wench." Girlfriend replies, "It's already back in your closet. I can't help it that he looks nice and red. What did you think of him anyways? Approve?" Boss says, "He looks like a little kid playing dress up in my clothes. But in all seriousness, he is a little kid. He's still in school and in an immature place. He's not husband material. You want kids and a house in a couple of years. Date someone who can give you that. Date a man." Girlfriend says, "Thanks for being honest. I value your opinion. Husbands aren't exactly growing on trees though." And that was the last. I left soon after and haven't talked to her about it. I feel completely disrespected. At the same time, I read her email, which is a no-no. How should I approach this? Honestly, yeah, I understand that it's a no-no, but you should approach this directly with her and be like, "What's going on with you and the boss? That's really weird. I was feeling very much left out at the party, and now I feel even more disrespected, and it feels like he's coming on to you, and you're just cool with it. That's very much a red flag in your behavior, so what's your explanation? What's going on here?" That's what I'd do, but hey, you do you, my man. Istara says, quotes, "My definition of business casual was navy slacks and a button-up. Mine too. Australia and UK, maybe a jacket, but definitely not a tie. He was the asshole. Also, men who use the word wench are coming on to women. Trust me on this. It's a joke sexual term. He's after her." OP says, "To be fair, my girlfriend described the occasion and asked the boss if I could borrow the items." Istara replies, "Even though she made the error, the boss shouldn't have been rude. Quote, but sure, the jacket will be too big in the shoulders is a clear alpha male one-upmanship tactic, implying that you are smaller and weaker than he is." Her response to him doesn't reflect well on her though, particularly as she asked for his approval, so it's not like she was trying to jokingly brush off his unsolicited criticism. Do you want a house and kids in a couple of years? You'll be 27 and quite possibly just starting out on your career. She'll be nearly 30 and very possibly much more ready. I think you need to have a clear talk about your respective expectations. You've only been dating for 5 months, and she may indeed be husband hunting. OP replies, "Oh, that was obvious. I'm a small guy, 5'7" to his 6'2", about 2 edges less broad in the shoulders. I guess alpha rules don't work on me because I don't play the game. I'm a short, funny Jewish academic, and I work it. I can't see where I'll be in a few years. It depends on job offers. Hopefully I'll even get there. Academia, especially in the liberal arts, is highly oversaturated. If it goes well, then maybe." And so OP comes back with an update and says, "I followed the advice, or some of the advice, and told her how I stumbled across it and all that jazz. She was upset that I read her work emails, but understood why I wasn't happy with what I saw. She explained that her boss is more than a boss. He's also a friend, and collectively, they've been through a lot together. That in the 3 years they've worked together, they've each lost a parent. Her father was estranged from her family, and none of her siblings would go with her to the funeral, but he volunteered and helped her handle it, and have climbed the corporate ladder together." That's not looking good. She explained that it was private, the same as me asking my friend on Facebook what they thought of her and her reading it. So I'm a little uncomfortable with it and their closeness in general. I also told her that it irritated me that she didn't specify what business casual meant in her world. She said that a button-up would have been fine, but I wore a plaid one. A nice plaid button-up, not lumberjack. And that was too casual. She told me that she was mad at me for being late, that it's important to Rob that when he hosts that she is early, and on time is late, and late is very late. We didn't deal with the big issues, babies and marriage, because it's just too damn soon, and went on our way being happy this week. Until last night, at around 2 a.m, boss calls and says he's sick, she needs to check up on him, blah blah. "Oh man, my penis is feeling sick right now. I'm gonna need you to leave your boyfriend and come check up on it." She's about to leave, and I express my discomfort, and she reluctantly invites me. Tells me to keep clear of him and just wait, it shouldn't be long, and she'll use my presence to avoid staying long. We get there and he's in the front room, can't avoid him seeing me. He's in his underwear, which I'm not happy about, and is obviously fairly sick and furious about being sick. Girlfriend is ridiculously tender with him, rubbing his hair and telling him how they can readjust most of his meetings. Except for one, and they'll make it a phone meeting. They'll work from home tomorrow, she'll go get everything in the morning and just bring it to his place, blah blah. He makes eye contact. I'm hovering as close to the door as I can, feeling for all the effing world like I'm an interloper, and almost looks smug at me. I swear to God he did. Then he asks if they can have wonton soup for lunch and fortune cookies like usual. She says of course, and then brings him to his room and effing tucks him in, I assume, after giving him some medicine. We leave and then get into it. That's just too close for me. She needs to draw lines if she wants to keep dating me. She accuses me of just being jealous and uncomfortable, says that Rob has never made a pass at her and never will. The fight gets a little ugly and insults fly. I say she all but gets paid to suck his dick, and she says that the only difference between me and a college freshman is that I can buy beer. And it's over. This all occurs in his driveway. She gets out, says she'll just stay here, and if he wasn't too sick to get it up, I imagine they probably would have had sex. Tiyut says, "Holy shit, she's gone crazy town. You should stay super far away from that. I know it's hard, but I have a feeling you're gonna get over this one quick and laugh it off in a couple of months. Also, they climbed the corporate ladder together. She's a glorified secretary. She's climbing something, but it's no corporate ladder." OP replies, "I mean, when he gets promoted, her pay grade does go up, and he chose to have her come up with him instead of opting for someone with more experience or whatever. I hope you're right. I was pretty pissed and all righteously angry, but now that that's fading, I'm kind of bummed out. She was a good person. She was funny and smart and sexy as hell, and we spent 5 months together. I don't want to miss her. The difference between you and a college freshman is that a college freshman would have tackled him to the ground and pummeled his face in when he answered the door in his underwear." OP replies, "I didn't realize he was just in underwear at first, and by then I could tell he was very sick, couldn't keep down water, etc., and less inclined to be aggressive. She has a key, and he was on the couch using a throw blanket thing." And OP comes back with another update and says, "Well, I've been drowning my sorrows in Newcastles and biographies when I got a text from my ex-girlfriend. I obviously hoped that she was begging for forgiveness and pleading me to come back to her, both because I missed her and I wanted to turn her down. I'm a complicated fool of a man. She was not. She says, "I wanted to let you know that I'm sorry for what I said. Once you compared my entire career to that of a prostitute, I lost my temper and said a lot of things I regret. I hate to end on a bad note because we were both hurt and lashed out. I also wanted to let you know that you're right about Rob, just because I would want to know if I were you, and you deserve to know that you weren't crazy. I didn't think he felt the same way, and I resigned myself to trying to love someone else. I didn't do a good job. How could I when he was constantly there? But then it turns out he's felt the same way all along. He just didn't think he could cross the line. It had to be me, because Rob felt as my superior, there was no appropriate way to confess his love. 2 years of us being stupid and stubborn, but we are finally together. We are hashing through it with HR now, and they're not giving us any problems. I'm sorry that we put you in the middle of our personal games. I wish you all the best." So, she's gonna go live happily ever after, she never loved me, and I wasted 5 months. I'm gonna go be a monk now, Reddit. Gotta go find God. Edit. I don't want to do an update because there's no reason to do one, but I would like to just say that I don't begrudge her happiness or want her to catch on fire or anything like that. I'm a little bummed out that it ended this way, because despite this, she was a fun girlfriend, we did a lot of fun stuff together, and she even Reddited, so we had a lot to talk about. And she's extremely smart. Honestly, she does a lot of her boss's work and gives great throwback. If it weren't for her messed up family, she would have gone on to be an executive, not an assistant. But I'm not getting drunk or wasting away. I'm just having a few cold ones and playing video games because I'm an introvert, and this is how I cheer myself up. Anyways, the point is that I'm not a hero and she isn't the villain. We never said we loved each other or anything. I saw it maybe going in that direction, unless I end up teaching in Nebraska or something. I said a shitty thing to her, and it all unwinded from there. And I did start the shit in that conversation. Now that it's done, I realize that. I'm a little disappointed and a little bit bitter, but I don't hate her or want her to lose her job or get crabs. I just kind of want everyone to be happy and maybe get laid this weekend. Not that we'll be friends, I just don't have time to hate her. Thanks for all the advice. Salty Fresh says, I don't know the whole story, but giving all those details is so very unnecessary. What a bitch move. It would have sufficed to say, your suspicions were right, I'm sorry I lied to you, I hope we can be friends, instead of delving into the details of her romantic affairs with someone else while knowing she broke your heart. You shouldn't have compared her to a prostitute. OP replies, yeah, looking back, that's why we broke up that night. Not that we should have stayed together, because obviously it wasn't going to work out, but when you start a conversation with, can't you see he basically pays you to suck his dick? Most people aren't willing to be constructive. And that's when she said shitty things, and I said shitty things, and she decided she would rather not drive home with me and decided to stay there. And they talked and decided that they were in love, or whatever the kids call it. So, it was a pretty spiraled, effed up night, and I was still angry when I wrote the last update, which might be a tad biased. Look, yeah, fair, it's a tad biased, but you were screwed over, OP. I don't blame you. I'd be just as hurt if I were in your situation, and I don't blame you for the way that you reacted, because there was nothing you could do. The relationship was never real. This was just a beard. You were just a beard for her whatever was going on there. I hope you find the one for you and decide to have babies in a house, if that's what you want in your future. Because, you know, as sad as it is to go through a breakup like that, you are worth more. She's a piece of shit for what she put you through, and then what she said back to you, knowing that it was the truth, knowing that she put you through this. I honestly think that she should have just kept her mouth shut and left. In my mind, she shouldn't have even been allowed to say anything to you, because all of this was based on a lie that she was aware of the entire time. Let's hope that her boss/partner cheats on her and she gets the comeuppance that she deserves. Amen. But what do you guys think? Am I being too harsh on this one? Let me know in the comments down below. And let's go to our next story.